the door, Greg. Keep walking.
Don't walk yet, boy. You've got a bit of money to earn.
Come here. Late Show was good. I said I wasn't going to watch it. Bambi Thug. What did you think? You took a big breath. What?
It's this, like, as I said on social media afterwards, there's no point sending a Johnny Logan or a, you have to send something over that's going to compete.
Yes.
If we're going to take part in it, you have to send something that is likely to win.
And
that is the thing most likely to win.
Yeah.
Probably.
I'm with you. I don't agree with you
the
too
Irish
many
language
times.
song was good, but it was just a little bit obscure, probably for an international audience, and didn't have as good a hook.
Yeah.
But if you take all of the screaming and all of the imagery out of Bambi Thug, it is a melodic song as well.
It is.
Right? You throw all that stuff.
Yeah.
Now people can get up and on.
Visually, it's good as well. It's a big performance, a theatrical thing as well, isn't it?
Lady Gaga's been doing the same thing for absolutely years. That you're going to get people that will go, oh, it's demonic and all this kind of stuff. And blah.
What does demonic mean?
Like it's devil worshipping, or you know what I'm on about, or it's some way invoking evil.
But I don't think
Lady Gaga's been doing that for years. Madonna's been doing it for years. It's we're a mature population. We can work out.
Johnny Logan's
what's
back in it. Johnny Logan is one of 3 times he says that's the one.
Yeah,
he's in the newspapers today saying that's the tune.
Well, we've tried a Turkey and that didn't work. So
no, we sent a Turkey in all fairness, like.
But either, to be honest, it's either do something like this or just don't take part in it at all.
Yeah,
you either have to play the game at their rules or just stop playing the game.
Yeah.
But anyway,
I agree with you.
Yeah,
for once.
Like, is that your phone?
It must be. It's after 9 o'clock. I have Do Not Disturb. This new watch I have, do not disturb.
You're so proud. I
know. You've been encouraging me to spend money.
But we have to treat yourself, Lee.
And finally, I'm going to let you go. Then, Reacher, you recommended for us to watch at the weekend. I loved it. I'm just on the season 1, 2 episodes in. It's great.
Excellent. And you nearly did season 3, but you had to, episode 3, but you had to go to bed.
I says 9:15. Come on, it's bedtime. Listen to Daddy self-talk. Right, come here. Have a good show, right, boy?
Hey, Lee, take care of yourself, son. See you tomorrow, 9 o'clock. Let's get a news update. It's a minute past. And it's Good Morning, Michaela Clark.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. A Letterkenny business owner says thefts from businesses has become a major issue in the town. It's after 2 women entered Simpson's Letterkenny yesterday and filled a trolley before fleeing the store and making off in a red Skoda Jeep at around 4 p.m. Gardaí have confirmed that investigations are continuing. The shop's owner, Marie Carlin, says better enforcement is needed to apprehend those responsible for thefts from local businesses.
It's just getting worse and worse. Over the last few months, there's been a lot of incidents, and the guards are doing their best to get to the bottom of this, but these people are being taken to court and they're coming up with all sorts of problems, and prosecution just is not happening. They just seem to be getting away with it and just constantly reoffending.
The DUP is having a crunch meeting later so that party leaders can brief senior members on UK government proposals aimed at ending the Stormont stalemate. It's almost exactly 2 years since the party walked out of the executive in protest at post-Brexit deal terms. The latest deadline to restore power sharing is the 8th of February, just a week and a half away. Another crash has led to further calls for safety measures to urgently be installed on the Rann Road in Letterkenny. There has been a noted increase in traffic on the route due to long delays being experienced while works were being carried out on the 4-lane road, the main artery into Letterkenny. Donegal A2 representative Mary T. Sweeney says a digital traffic count and a feasibility study needs to be carried out. She says the rise in larger vehicles on the road is concerning also.
It would be common sense to look at how much traffic is using this, to do a digital count of the traffic using this road as a shortcut into Letterkenny. And what's even more concerning is the number of big articulated lorries or full big buses that have started to come in this way. And I think really it might be their sat-nav is directing it, because it is the shortest route into Letterkenny.
It's claimed Irish truck drivers are being targeted every single day by traffickers to bring illegal immigrants into Ireland. The Irish Road Haulage Association says offers of up to €25,000 are made to hauliers by people smugglers and stowaways. Midlands North West MEP Maria Walsh says the practice has to be stamped out.
And the movement of people in these such dire straits, what we have to is EU citizens being moved within the EU under human trafficking, as well as those coming from outside of the EU. So it's multiple forms of movement of people.
Weather now, overnight rain, drizzle and mist will linger for a time today. Highest temperatures of 5 to 7 degrees. That's all from Highland Radio News for now. We'll be back with news again at 10 o'clock. Until then, good morning.
It's important to take care of yourself when you're feeling unwell. And if you have symptoms of a virus, flu, or COVID-19, the best thing to do is to rest up and stay at home. Because you won't just be taking care of yourself, you'll be helping to protect other people too. People close to you, like family and friends, and people you've never even met who might be at higher risk than you. And don't forget to visit hse.ie for advice on getting better. From the HSE.
The county's #1 talk show, the 9 Til Noon Show on Highland Radio.
And now it's time for the talk of the Northwest, the 9 Til Noon Show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
Hello and a very good morning to you. It's the start of another week here on the 9 Til Noon Show on Highland Radio. 5 minutes past 9 this Monday, the 29th of January 2024. How are you all keeping? How was your weekend? We heard what Lee was up to. What have you been up to? Did you notice anything out and about? Anything happening in your life that you think we can help with or you want to share? 086 60 25,000. That's the WhatsApp and text number. 086 60 25,000. If you're listening outside the Republic, it's 0035386 60 25,000. Now, if you want to give us a call, 07491 25,000. Again, outside the Republic, you know the code there. And you can email us if that's more convenient for you from anywhere on comments at highlandradio.com. And just to invite you to watch the show if that suits you. We are on YouTube, Highland Radio Ireland, so you can watch us on your large screen smart TV that has the app built into it, or on your Fire Stick. And also, you can take us on your mobile devices on that app, and also Facebook, Highland Hub, Highland Radio News and Sport, and indeed, we're also on X. Right, lots to get through this morning, lots to cover, but we're going to have a quick look at what's making some of the newspapers this morning, starting with the Derry People Donegal News. And positive news, the family of an Ardra man who was seriously injured in a road traffic collision while on a family holiday in the US at Christmas says he's continuing to show positive signs of recovery. Daniel Gallagher of Mina Killiu, Ardra, suffered critical injuries in the incident in Orlando, Florida. The collision occurred on Friday after Christmas, December 29th, and exactly a month on, Daniel continues to show signs of improvement. His brother-in-law, Thomas McQuinney, said Daniel was taken off a ventilator last week and he's been able to talk with his medical team and family members who are with him in Orlando. And we wish him a continued and rapid recovery. The Derry News this morning. Derry was awash with Palestinian flags yesterday as thousands marched through the city for the annual Bloody Sunday March. A large crowd gathered for a cross-community memorial service yesterday morning for those who died on Bloody Sunday. Political and religious leaders joined the Bloody Sunday families for the short ceremony at the Rossville Street Monument, close to where many of the victims were shot. On to the Nationals now, and whilst many people out there aren't or refusing to or have chosen not to pay their TV licence, many are ending up in court. 60 people a day are now facing prosecution for not paying their TV licence, with the rate expected to soar over coming months. There's been a substantial increase in the number summoned for not paying the €160 fee since the RTE payment scandal erupted last June. Figures obtained by the Irish Independent reveal that more than 13,000 were summoned to appear before the courts last year for the non-payment, with the numbers facing prosecution since the controversy broke increasing by 33% a month. The figures show that between January 1st and November 30th last, An Post applied for a total of 13,137 summonses to district courts, while 5,073 summonses were applied for by An Post between January 1st and May 31st last. 8,064 was sought over the following 6 months. So a big increase, big enforcement there. What do you do when you receive that summons? Do you pay up? Do you go to court? Have you had that experience? Just by coincidence, these people won't have any bother paying any fines or any bills, you would imagine, for that matter, because RTE has released the salaries for its top earners last year, 2022, sorry. There's a 1 year delay. So this is what you're paying for, to some extent. The former RTE presenter Ryan Tubridy, he was the top on-air earner at RTE for 2022. He earned a total of €515,000. RTE published the earnings of its top 10 earners for 2022 today, along with restated earnings for 21. After Tubridy, the second highest earner for 22 was Joe Duffy. He collected €351,000. That's the same that he got in 2021. Claire Burns' earnings dropped from €350 to €320. Sorry, €350,000 to €320,000, though I think she did give up a radio show, didn't she? Or a TV show. Miriam O'Callaghan, she's still earning €263,000 per year. Ray Darcy, his earnings dropped by 100,000 over that period. He earned €250,000 in 2022. But he has a radio-only contract now. He doesn't have a TV contract. Brendan O'Connor, he does a couple of shows at the weekend. He's the sixth highest-paid broadcaster and earns €245,000 a year. He earned that effectively $500,000 over 2021-2022. Brian Dobson, he earns $209,000 a year. His wages actually went up a little bit on 21. He presents the news at 1 and he's retiring in April. Mary Wilson, eighth highest paid earner. Her wages actually went up from $196,000 in 21 to $197,500 in 22. Dara Maloney, who I didn't actually know what he did, but apparently he's a sports presenter, and that's not an insult to Dara. I just simply didn't know what he did. Dara Maloney earns $183,000. Well, that's what he earned in 2021, but his wages went up to $184,501 in 2022. And bottom of the list, the 10th highest paid earner at the station was RTE's environment correspondent, who was out in Dubai and all for that, for the what do you call that meeting that he went to again? Well, he earned just €179,821 in 2022, slightly more than he earned in 2021. So we've got a slight bump in 22. So that's the RTE published figures this morning. On to the Irish Times this morning, and you may not be surprised to learn that immigration tops the list of issues getting the attention of voters in the past month, according to a new measure of public sentiment introduced by the Irish Times and Ipsos B&A. Almost a quarter, 24% of respondents to the survey cited immigration issues when asked what they had noticed along with the government about what the government had done recently. Next on the list was housing at 19%, with taxes and social policies each at 4%. I don't know how these numbers are calculated, because obviously there's going to be a crossover, isn't it? So maybe people are splitting it 24, you're 24% worried about one thing and 25% worried about another. Housing, 19%, as I mentioned there. 6 areas were each cited by 3% of respondents. Climate change, the cost of living crisis, inflation, budget spending, employment, crime, Gardaí, and the Israel-Palestinian conflict. So it's immigration most on people's minds, but the figures are a wee bit hard for me to break down. I'll have a look at that a little later on. The Irish Daily Mail this morning: Irish hauliers are being offered payments of up to €25,000 to smuggle migrants and illicit items into the country. Amid calls for the government to conduct greater checks of how migrants arrive into the country, Eugene Drennan, Irish Road Hauliers Association president, said Irish drivers are being targeted all day, every day by traffickers and potential stowaways. Mr. Drennan said, it's all over Europe, really. Someone would stop you and say, would you like a box, a package, a message, that kind of thing. You could be offered anywhere between €5,000 and €25,000 for doing it. On to the Irish Star this morning. An interesting poll for Shinn Fain at the weekend. They've made great inroads, as some would say it, over the last 3 years, but those inroads have kind of been wiped out in one foul swoop. Shinn Fain have been hit by a massive loss of support, which has wiped out much of the gains the party made in the last 3 years. Backing for Mary Lou McDonald's party continues to slide and is down 4 points in 2 months, according to the latest opinion poll, the largest drop in support since the general election in 2020. And what's kind of interesting this to me is the drop is greater than the margin of error. I mean, often you'll see parties, gain 1, lose 1, gain 2, lose 2. But when you have a change beyond the margin of error, it certainly can't be ignored. The results mark a further drop from the 32% support the party achieved in the poll in October. While it is still the most popular party in Ireland by 5 points, a 7-point drop within 2 polls will be a serious cause of concern for the Shinn Fain leadership. Analysts believe much of the loss in support is down to the party's stance on immigration. And opinion polls show that up to 75% of Sinn Féin supporters are in favour of a cap on the number of asylum seekers and migrants entering the country. And you do see positions changing now and what have you. And I'll tell you what those figures point to as well. And I've been saying this from the get-go in this programme, the return of the three-party government that's in power at the moment should not be ruled out. There's a presumption amongst people that as soon as you have an election, that's it, there's change. But I'm not so sure. On to the Irish Sun this morning. The HSE urged parents to have their children vaccinated against measles after cases in Europe rose by 4,500%. The World Health Organization expressed alarm and issued an official warning. The UK has also seen a surge on some people. Some people have stopped vaccination. Now, the problem is obviously massive controversy over the COVID vaccine, and that conversation continues to happen. People thinking it was rushed, people making claims about it, and people having concerns about it, and they're well aired and well understood. There is other vaccines, though, that are tried and tested and have been proven to be effective with minimal negative consequences. And I think what's happening is, and it seems to be the case, that the general caution over vaccines or vaccines apathy is having an impact on important vaccines for children. Last year, the EU, that being said, there's many of you out there don't vaccinate your children at all, and that's your choice. Last year, the EU recorded 42,000 cases compared to 941 in 2022. And now, as well, as we were chatting to Lee just before the break, we'll be talking about this a little later on. What's your views on it? Because Eurovision legend Johnny Logan has backed Ireland's Bambi Thug to triumph at this year's competition. The non-binary performer emerged as the winner of Friday night's Late Late Show Eurosong special. Their song Doomsday Blues beat 5 other entries. Let's have a listen to it. Well, their song Doomsday Blues beat 5 other entries and will represent Ireland in Malmo, Sweden in May. Logan, who won the competition in 1980 and 1987 as a performer and again in 92 as a songwriter, told the Sunday World it's probably the best and most original entry Ireland has had for as long as I can remember. It's a very good choice and it will definitely get attention. It's eye-catching and different. Viewers related to it, and that's why it was chosen.
My heartbeat buried in the ground, and to the strings I bind your bound, so when you sleep you'll hear the sound.
So what do you think of it? Did you vote for it? Did you not vote for it? Who would you like to have seen win?
I see the scars in your eyes.
It's pretty angry in places. But it is quite melodic too. So what do you think? 086 60 25,000. That and whatever you want to talk about. Give us a call on 074 91 25,000. It is the 9 Till Noon Show, and we're going to be right back. Stay where you are.
The newspapers are courtesy of Kelly Centra Mountaintop Letterkenny, the C-Store National Large Forecourt of the Year for 2022.
The 9 Till Noon Show with O'Hara's of Foxford. It takes 18 hours to perfect our new 18-hour fermented sourdough bread. One bite and you'll agree true taste takes time.
Do you need a UK address? Save hundreds of euros on custom charges shopping online with Space Hub Dairy. We provide a full virtual address mailbox service for all your business and personal use. Save hundreds, possibly thousands, on custom charges with Space Hub Dairy. Call 048 71 87 8077 or online spacehubdairy.com for more details.
Time is running out. Get to Harkin Fireplaces in Lifford for the final week of their January yard sale. Discover great deals on fireplaces, stoves, electric fires, gas fires and elegant kitchen worktops. Your dream fireplace or kitchen worktop awaits at an unbeatable price, but the clock is ticking. Don't miss out. Harkin Fireplaces' massive yard sale ends January 31st.
At iMotors, our brand new Kia 241 range is ready to go for immediate delivery. As Donegal's home for Kia, with 7 years warranty and low finance rates from 1.9% on EV cars and 3.9% on the rest of the range. Check out our stylish and diverse range at imotors.ie. iMotors, your local Kia dealership.
It's important to take care of yourself when you're feeling unwell. And if you have symptoms of a virus, flu, or COVID-19, the best thing to do is to rest up and stay at home. Because you won't just be taking care of yourself, you'll be helping to protect other people too. People close to you, like family and friends, and people you've never even met who might be at higher risk than you. And don't forget to visit hse.ie for advice on getting better. From the HSE.
Highland Radio time checks with Expressway. Travel Route 32 from Letterkenny to Dublin when you book online and travel for less. Expressway, bringing you the time at...
Okay, the time now is 9:19. It's just about to turn, actually. It's just about to turn at 9:20. Right, a call has been made for an urgent upgrade works at a road outside Letterkenny after another motorist had a near miss at what's become a bit of a notorious junction. It comes after a motorist ploughed through a fence and ended up in a field at the Ran-Listac junction on the back road from Drumkeen to Letterkenny. We're joined on the programme now by Councillor Donald Kelly. Good morning, Councillor.
Good morning, Greg. Good morning, dear listeners.
Good to have you on the show. Right, so this is a road, if you're coming from Ballabafay, you can cut up left. You go up a hill and eventually you come out of Old Town, effectively. Is that the road we're talking about?
Yeah, that's correct, Greg. I suppose if you're coming there from Ballabafay or Donegal Town direction there, you can turn off there at the 4x4 gauge. I suppose it is a road that can take you in kind of to the bottom of the town if you are heading in the direction of maybe Dunstores there or the Old Town or Glencairn. Listen, I suppose this road has seen, I suppose, a higher volume of traffic using it particularly since the work started on the 4-lane there in Letterkenny. I would imagine people seen this as a quicker route in rather than being held up on the traffic congestion that was there at the time. And listen, this junction that we're focused on is it's where you turn down there to Listac from the Drumkeen Road or Ram there. And we've seen another accident there yesterday, and it's not the first accident. It has been this junction, and thankfully there's been nobody seriously hurt. Mm-hmm. But I actually went up yesterday to the junction and seen the car in the field, and there is extensive damage done to it. So listen, Greg, what I'm calling for now is for safety measures to be put in place here. I have this section of road put forward for this year for the restoration programme to have it resurfaced, and I feel now should this be passed this coming week to have that road resurfaced, that we need to focus on putting safety measures in place as well at the same time, because when you do come down that road, Greg, if you're not familiar with it, that junction does come on you very quick, and it's a road I would use fairly often, and if you're not familiar with it, it can catch you out, and that seems to be what the problem is.
And I think
Greg,
there's going to be a fair bit of local knowledge. I think most of us would be who travel these roads regularly would be familiar with it. The problem, what seems to be, especially with the timing here, is perhaps Google Maps. I think the majority of drivers use Google Maps in one way or other now. It will calculate and does calculate sort of timings, traffic on certain routes, and will offer alternative routes. I just wonder, is Google Maps, with the delays into Letterkenny, actually offering this as a route to people who aren't familiar with the area and therefore getting caught out. I'm not blaming Google, don't get me wrong, but as I say, it will change where it sends traffic dependent on speed and time and traffic volumes and levels. Maybe that might explain why we're seeing, cabin registered vehicles and other cars that aren't maybe familiar with the road going off it.
Yeah, Greg, that's a fair point, and it is something that has been brought to my attention as well, is that Google Maps does seem to take you down that way if the congestion is heavier going into Letterkenny, and I suppose people are taking that route that's using Google Maps. But the only thing I would say on that, Greg, is I've travelled a lot of the country there at different times of the year as well, at meetings and places that you're not familiar with, and Google Maps will try to throw you off, there's no doubt about it, and take you down a by road or a narrow road, and I always feel, I suppose you learn as the years go on, you're always better to stick to the main road. I mean, you're better to be there late than not get there at all, and I would urge people that maybe are using Google Maps to stick to the main road, and surely you may have some traffic congestion at times, but, it doesn't, it's not frequently happening.
But it's funny, you see it in the summer, you often see vehicles, towing caravans that have no business being on certain roads, when that type of traffic increases in the summer. So certainly, Google Maps will not account for the vehicle that you're driving. It'll just try and send you the, with a certain degree of intelligence, it will try and send you the shortest route. The thing too, though, is, obviously your call for road improvements, road resurfacing stands, but, that can also lead to an increase in traffic speed, yourself, Councillor. So it's vital that if you get this, if this road is included in improvement works, that improvements to safety forms part of those works.
That's correct, Greg. You hear it all the time and you see it all the time. What you said there, you've had the nail on the head. When a road, I suppose, is not in great shape, and then as resurfaced, you do see the speed increase, and that's something that going forward, motorists need to watch out for, and take care on roads that are resurfaced. But that junction in particular, Greg, I'm not saying that this accident was caused to speed, but there has been accidents there before, and speed seemed to be a factor, So listen, all that I can do as a local representative has raised this, and I have been speaking with Donegal County Council this morning to have them go out and survey this junction and see what appropriate measures can be put in place to try to slow traffic down and also to alert oncoming traffic of the dangerous bend and the junction that is ahead. So,
all right, Councillor.
We'll take it from there, Greg, and I'll take the motion going forward on this again and try to get something resolved.
All right, Councillor Kelly, thank you very much for your time. Mary T joins us now as well. Good morning, Mary.
Good morning, Greg.
Mary T. Sweeney, of course, Ain't2 rep. You're familiar with this stretch of road. It's not the first time we've seen something like this, is it?
Greg, I actually am the first house you meet. I'm the only house at the junction, so I am.
Right.
And so everybody that has the crash come into me, night and day, and as I say, they're quite welcome to do that. But people have to realise, I wrote in October last year looking for our Donegal County Council to include this road on the gritting route, which it isn't. So it's extremely, you're talking a road that's 230 metres above sea level. It's the highest point around Letterkenny. And the tragedy of it all is, coming through the forestry, is the most unobstructed, beautiful view over the River Swilly, which could be a great tourist feature for cars to stop. But the reality is we're facing people, and there was a very renowned tragedy for 3 young people in 2016, just a couple of 100 metres up the road. That bend has never, ever been addressed since that accident. Right. And where I'm living at the moment, we had 3 fairly serious accidents in the last 3 weeks alone, plus another 2 on the side roads just in the last 3 weeks. Now, I mean, people having to be dragged out of their cars, vehicles wrecked. And in fairness, it is... and I made that point about the sat-nav. Right. It is mainly people that are not local that are coming in the shortcut. But it is not appropriate to see 40-foot lorries and 40-foot buses on this road. the number of people that have lost their wingmirrors. Wingmirrors can be up to £600 and £700 nowadays, depending on the vehicle you drive. And there's about 4 very, very difficult spots to pass on the road. And dangerous. There's 2 very dangerous bends, one at the hill where the tragedy occurred in 2016, and one further down the road. And today, any damage to a car is significant, never mind injury to the person.
Verity,
have to be considered.
For sure. What do you think needs to be done, though? Because this is not really a road. This is not a main thoroughfare, and I don't think anyone sort of wants it to be. It's just so happens that as people try and avoid congestion or whatever it might be, they use this road, or they're guided to use this road. What is the solution? I mean, you don't want the whole road widened, which would address the wing mirror issues you have. There are certain areas that could do with safety measures, but do you think vehicles of a certain size should be discouraged from using, or what do you see as the practical, implementable solution here?
Well, the first thing is officially this is a local primary route. So as a local primary route, that needs to be reviewed to do a traffic study on it to see. One man had 35 cars pass his front gate in the morning to get out before he could drive out the gate. That's the extent of traffic we're talking, just to get out a gateway on this road. So it does need to be reconsidered in its allocation of category. A feasibility study would be the very least that should be done by the council to count the traffic on it, and potentially a sign at the junction of the N13 junction coming in what's called Trent to Boy off the main Ballybofey Road, which is a primary route, national primary route. The cars are coming from the national primary route, directed often by SatNav on the shortest route to Letterkenny, and they don't realise the elevation of the journey going into Letterkenny, as I say, 230 metres above sea level. And when there's snow, we can have snow for 8 to 10 days after the snow has disappeared around.
There's a couple of routes, and you can go on to that point, Mary T, but there are a couple of routes in Donegal, and what I don't understand, what we don't do, have, some sort of a measuring device at the peak, and signs at the 2 entrants, you know what I mean, sort of on the main Ballybofey to Letterkenny.
Exactly.
Why don't we have a sign saying, temperature -5? Do you know what I mean? Have a road sensor up the top. I can think of at least 3 other roads that it's okay if you have local knowledge. How many people get stuck up this road, or over Loch Salt, for an example, people that don't know? Why don't we have digital signs on these very busy routes that says, not, closed or low temperatures or some sort of a warning? I mean, we have the technology. It's not incredibly expensive. Why don't we do it?
Well, Greg, one thing that hasn't come up today, and I need to raise it because it's really, really dangerous, is that it's happened myself when I would take my youngest son to school, went to school in Stranorlar, and I would have had to use that road every morning. On the junction in Trent to Boy down onto the main N13, which is in the Drumkeen, just at the Drumkeen village, before the Drumkeen village. When a winter's morning happens, because it's not being gritted, your car goes into free fall, sliding right out onto the national primary road. That's the reality. That's how dangerous this road is. Now, we have the same thing at Ran Junction, the road alignment. I have spoke to the council a number of years ago, and I mentioned it in a report for the development plan of Letterkenny. The same elevation is happening down at Ran, which is disguised a bit now because of the way they've realigned the roads. But traffic travelling down Ran, and I have seen it often in winter, where the cars can't get a grip and they're actually skidding down and now to what would be the most direct traffic because of the elevation.
So I think...
and coming up, they can't get up.
Yeah, in an email you sent out, though, you talked about upgrading the road, widening the road.
Yes.
So effectively accepting that there's going to be an awful lot of traffic and improving the road. Is that what people on that road want, that it becomes an established route, a back road into Letterkenny?
I don't think the people have a choice, because it's naturally becoming a primary route. This feeds into what I presented to the council in the development plan for the town. The ring road around Letterkenny shouldn't be in tight to the town. It should be on the periphery of the town, which this is, and it should take you naturally across the River Swilly between Conwell and the GAA Club.
Okay.
And that would naturally allow you to go on up Glencar, up the Kirkstown Road, in that vicinity, leaving the old existing Kirkstown Road, build a new Greenfield Road up to catch above the hospital. It's the most natural ring road to form around Letterkenny, and I did put this into the council. It would make perfect sense.
Okay.
Perfect sense.
All right, we'll see how things progress over the next while. Thanks, Mary T, for bringing this to our attention as well. We really do appreciate it. Take care of yourself. That's Mary T Sweeney there, and before her you heard from Councillor Donal Kelly.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com.
The 9 Till Noon Show with O'Hara's of Foxford. We take 18 hours to craft our new 18-hour fermented sourdough bread. Now's the perfect time to enjoy a slice.
Oh, Kira, congratulations. Look at her tiny fingers. She's beautiful, just like her mammy.
Oh, thank you.
Have you got a name yet?
Well, we're thinking...
She's going to call her Brooklyn. Brooklyn, Massachusetts, Phoenix, Arizona.
Your vote is your voice, so if you don't speak up, someone else is deciding for you.
Baltimore, Kentucky, Murphy O'Neill.
Who's that?
Hospital porter. Just back from his American road trip.
Make sure you're registered to vote. Go to checktheregister.ie and be a voter, so that it's your voice that's heard. From Comisiún Tábhachtán, Ireland's Independent Electoral Commission.
Oh, Brookie Massachusetts, come to Auntie Hannah.
If you're getting married, the in-house design team at BizPrint can get all your wedding stationery and signage needs customised to your requirements. Just visit weddinginvites.ie or call BizPrint at Port Road, Letterkenny on 9177955.
With everything from pedal and electric ride-ons to go-karts and scooters, there's loads of fun guaranteed all year round at Tinny's Toys in Letterkenny. If you have a kid's birthday coming up, see the great choice at Tinny's Toys to make it extra special. Visit Tinny's Toys on Leck Road, Letterkenny, or shop online for express delivery at tinnystoys.com. Tinny's Toys, with so much more than just farm toys.
Hi folks, Paul McDevitt here. Invite you to join myself and Jimmy Stafford this Monday night for another edition of the Monday Night Sessions. On the show this week, we welcome brilliant folk group Kyo, local acoustic duo Without Willow. We'll also be stopping by and playing us new songs from their debut album Left Behind, which has been launched shortly. Singer Sean Gallagher from Drummerone is also joining us for a few tunes. And from Strabane, we welcome back singer-songwriter Adam Dolan. So, that's the Monday Night Sessions this Monday night between 8 p.m. and 10 p.m. right here on Highland Radio.
More traffic with increase in population needs more roads in better quality in and out of Letterkenny. Just back from Spain and cannot understand how their roads are a far higher quality than we have in Ireland. Joined the EEC same time as Spain, 1971. Why are our roads so underdeveloped compared to other European countries in 2024? Read the road in Rod. Of course, says it's a dangerous junction for years. Nothing has been done about it. It's nothing to do with Google Maps. You can't blame Google Maps. It's just a dangerous road, and it's not to blame. And I did say not blaming Google. It's just that it will choose the quickest route, and it's sending people up there. And of course, after that, it's down to driver responsibility. Another caller says, in my opinion, the three parties now in government will most likely be back in power after the next general election. Even after dull voting in favour of vulture funds as recent as last week, independent and new parties will also contribute to no change after the next general election. And there's an awful lot of new parties and independents too that sort of maybe split the protest vote in inverted commas as well. That's also going to be potentially not an issue, but a factor. A caller says it's time they change the name of the so-called Eurovision Song Contest. The song is no longer the theme, it's more a theatrical show contest. I think our entry has a chance, not because of its quality as a song, but it conforms more to the type of entry that has been winning over recent years. I always watch the Eurovision, but to be honest, spending a couple of hours watching absolute mayhem on stage is something I'm not interested in doing. Here's a question for you. Name the group that won last year or the year before. There was a time when winning Eurovision made you famous. Decent point there. Greg, that Eurovision entry by Ireland is a far cry from the island of saints and scholars. I can think of another S name for it. What has happened to our wee country? Okay. Now, if you are on social media, you will see, and it's just horrendous, you will see various ways in which scammers are trying to scam you. But also what they're doing now is they are exploiting bereavement, and you'll see certain pages being shared. What they do is they create a page, they they harvest pictures from official sources like Highland or RIP.ie or wherever they might get them. They use the images of a recently deceased person and their information, and they'll offer a live link, where you can watch the funeral, but you can't watch the funeral. Then they expect you to pay, they get your card details, and they extort you. And then you try and report it, and they've changed the details to another deceased person. And people, I know, I got a friend's request from one of these pages on Saturday, and I think I had 25 mutual friends, so at least 25 people saw the page and accepted the invite. That's just one way that these horrible people are exploiting people's grief to try and extort money. Breach is of Kieran Rorty Funeral Directors and joins us now on line one. Breach, thank you very much for taking the call this morning.
Hi, good morning, Greg.
Is this becoming more familiar, more regular, Breach? We have seen them time and over time, but I seem to be seeing an awful lot more of these lately.
Yeah, they seem to be cloning the pages a lot more now this last few months. And it's not just us that's experiencing it as well, it's other funeral directors.
And you just wonder where these people are located. You know, are they doing it across the country, across the world, or is it perhaps particularly, wakes and funerals or watching funerals online is in Irish? I don't know, but as I say, we see far, far too much of it. There must be a really big organisation that's behind this.
Yeah, they seem to be targeting funeral pages now. At first it was more your personal page, but it seems to be a lot more now of the funeral pages, and there's just no end to it now. It's getting a bit out of hand.
As well too, Breach, I don't think there's anyone in Ireland charging anyone to watch a funeral. Obviously, this became more of a thing through COVID, and a lot of churches and chapels and what have you, they have webcams. They're always free to view.
Yeah, they're always free to view, and we'd urge people not to click on the links, because I assume that when you click on the link that's been shared, they're then asking you for your credit card details, and that's how they're catching people out.
And then for people that want to sort of highlight it, it's difficult because, you know, they are using the images of someone who's recently bereaved, so there's a very upset family there, so it's very hard to sort of say, you know, report this or what have you, because as I say, you don't want to add any upset to the family of the bereaved.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I got my friend requests on my own page yesterday from a local boy that had deceased. And all I could think about was the family, if they had got a friend request, seeing that yesterday morning. It's heartbreaking for them. Like, it's a hard enough time at the minute for them without scam pages going around.
Yeah, and I think, and then what happens is they change the images, don't they? Because they've accumulated friends, and they're well aware now that people are going to start to twig, so they'll change the images. They'll take more images of a recently deceased person and update the information that way, and their friendships grow, but it can be harder to track them a little bit.
That's it, yeah. And when I posted the warning yesterday not to add the page, we were flooded with scam comments then from other pages.
Oh, really?
We were constantly on the page. Yeah. They seem to flood the posts then.
Saying what kind of stuff, Breach?
If you've been hacked, get in touch with me. So if you click on the profile, then you're into another scammer.
Well, they have you every which way.
So
yeah, I've seen that now that you mention it. Yeah.
They do.
Okay,
yeah,
so they're saying effectively...
yesterday deleting.
Yeah, sorry, I beg your pardon. I thought you were finished there. So they're saying if you did click that link and it's the same people, now click another link and we'll sort it out.
Yeah. But then it's another scammer, so they've got you again.
I don't think we can rely on the social media companies to police this for us. As I say, you can report them. They might be taken down, but they can pop up almost immediately. It's just really important that people don't add them as friends and block them and warn others.
Yeah, they're not even being... The pages aren't even being blocked, though. They're, like, we've reported them and they don't seem to be doing anything about it.
Yeah.
The pages are all still active.
Right. As I say, the best thing we can do is multiple reports, though, because that can't be ignored. Report them, block them, and maybe advise your friends.
Yeah.
As I say, you know, they're doing this at a very difficult time for families, and I've seen families themselves have to warn people, and they should just be dealing with their grief, not having to get involved in this stuff?
No, we just urge people again never to add those pages or click on any links. You might see some comments coming up on our live streams as well that says that the live stream's on another link. That's never the case. We just go out on Facebook. Our stream is live on our Facebook page only, and it's always a free service.
Right, it'd be very interesting to dig in a bit more to see is this artificial intelligence? Is it people? Are they Irish based? Are they foreign based? I mean, it really does need an investigation because this is criminal activity.
It is,
with Donegal victims.
Definitely.
So I wouldn't be... the Donegal Gardaí should have an interest in this because there's victims in Donegal. OK, listen, Breach, thank you very much indeed. I appreciate it. That's Breach there.
Thanks.
No, thank you, Breach. Of Kieran Rorty, funeral directors. Listen, none of us really like to maybe admit if we have been the victim of a scam, but have you clicked one of those links thinking that you were genuinely getting access to a feed and were you defrauded? Did you lose any money or any personal information? Please let us know because it will help us to understand exactly what's going on and what the end game of these scammers is, though we suspect we know. Right, Tracy joins us now. Tracy, listen, thank you very much for holding and thanks for joining us on the programme.
No problem, Greg. Thanks a million. How are you?
I'm good, Tracy. I just wanted to chat to you off the back of a story you've been telling, and it goes back to last Thursday. What happened, Tracy?
I did get a message. It was 2 messages within a week, actually. I got from 3 saying that my SIM contract was going to be deactivated, and I did freak out because I was like, it's the second one within a week, and unfortunately I did click the link. But when I did click the link, it did take me into the official 3 website. But the message did say I didn't agree to the terms of service. So I did click the link, unfortunately. Was taken on to the actual 3 webpage. But when I was there was nothing, there was no messages to say that I had to agree to any terms or anything. So I did go on the web chat itself on 3 and was talking to, their wee people on the web chat thing. And told him the whole story, and he said, no, that's definitely a scam. That didn't come from us. So I didn't know what to do, so I ended up changing passwords on Facebook, changed all that kind of stuff, and that was grand. That was 8 o'clock last Thursday morning, so there was nothing else of it after that. So then I got a phone call. Do you know the way the location comes up on your phone sometimes where the phone call's from? So it said it was from Kildare, so I answered it, and he said he didn't give his name. He said he was ringing from 3, that there was unusual activity on my account. And I says, right, okay. So he said there was an £850 transaction from Belfast that tried to happen on my account. Was that me? And I was like, no, definitely not. So he just said, he was like, did you lose your bank card? Did you give it to any friends and family? And I was like, no, I have it here. So he was like, right, what we're going to do now is we're going to have to cancel the card and send you out and send you out a new card. So I says, right, okay, so what do I have to do now? Because he was so genuine. So he was like, look, you need to go on and I'm going to send you an activation code so I can have access to your account. Now, bearing in mind, I had the 2 young kids here running around the house and they were going crazy. So I was just agreeing with him. I was like, yeah, that's fine. So he sent me the activation code and I had to read it out to him. So I read an activation code and he says, that's grand. I've got access to your account. I will delete your cards. I'll send you out a new user ID for your online banking and I'll send you out a new bank card and that will come within 3 to 5 working days. So I says, that's fine, no bother. He says, you delete your online banking app and once you get your new user ID, you re-download the app and work it from there with your new user ID. So I said, that's perfect, no bother. And I did say to the man, I was like, these scammers will go through any lengths to get you. And he was like, oh, it is actually crazy, what's going on? So that was it. It was only a 10-minute phone call. That ended and I got a phone call from another number and it was Dublin-based number. So I answered it and it was a lady and she said, hi, Tracy, I'm just ringing from Bank of Ireland. And I thought, right. She says, did you delete your online banking app? And I says, yeah, I did, yeah. She says, did you try and log in on a phone that's less than an iPhone 12? Because I had iPhone 12. And I says, no. She says, I think you're getting scammed. And I was like, no. I'm just off the phone literally 20 minutes ago to a man from Bank of Ireland saying there was a transaction done, tried to be done for 850 sterling. And she says, no. She was like, that man, did he send you an activation code? I says, yeah. She says, he sent you that activation code so he could get into your account so he could do more damage. I was like, so was he not from Bank of Ireland? And she says, no. That's what the scammers are doing now. They're pretending they're being from Bank of Ireland. So when they send you an activation code, that gives them access to get into your account to do more damage.
Wow.
I was baffled.
So who's real and who isn't real?
That's what I said.
Do you know what I mean?
Then she sent me through. Yeah, she put me through then to like the fraud department. After we changed pins and stuff on my online banking, and I says to the lady, I was like, how do I know what's genuine and what's not? And she says, if you think it's a bogus call, you just hang up and ring the number on the back of your bank card. But I says to her, I was like, that man seems so genuine that I didn't have any worries of him, being a scammer. I was like, 'cause the same way I'm talking to you, I was like, I don't know who's right and who's wrong.
Yeah.
She was like, unfortunately, there's just so much of it that she was like, it's nearly even better if you get a call from us just to hang up and ring back. What's the number on the back of the card? Because if it's actually from them, they will have it documented.
Uh-huh.
Whereas if it's not, then they're going to know that it was from a scammer.
So you even were talking about how nasty scammers are to the scammer, and he was going, oh, you couldn't be up to them.
Yeah. Yeah, he was agreeing. He was like, it is crazy the lengths that they would go to. But when I was talking to the actual woman that rang me from 3, she was saying that, so the link message that they had sent, they do it that well now that they can copy the actual page that it looks real. So obviously the message came from their behalf, and that gave them access to get into my phone itself. But they obviously couldn't get into the banking, the online banking.
So when you were chatting to
that's
3,
when the phone call.
Was that a fake 3 web page and a fake 3 chat box?
I don't think so, no, because I don't know what way it worked. Whenever I clicked the link, it took me through to this web page, and then when I had to log on to My 3, it took me through the app to log on to the My 3.
Right. Okay. It's complex,
you know what I mean?
Tracy. Yeah. Did you manage to not,
back,
did you manage not to lose anything?
No, they didn't. They didn't take anything, which is great. And the other woman now I think was originally from 3. They did say that's what I mean. I'm baffled at this.
But you're still to this point not actually 1,000,000% sure that the actual woman who's fixing everything is. And did you have to cancel the bank card?
Yeah, cancelled the bank card, and they are going to reissue me out another one. Now, I did say to her, when she put me through to the fraud woman, and she was like, do you have any questions? I did say, look, if 3 ring again, is the location always going to be Dublin? I was like, because the first man was from Kildare.
Yeah.
And she says, what do you mean? And I just said to her, look, the location shows up on my phone on where they're ringing from. I was like, so is it going to be from Dublin? And she just kind of giggled, and she says, I can't answer that because I'm actually in India.
Yeah, okay. She's okay.
Do you know, so she didn't know what clone the numbers
they can clone the number to say it's anyone's number. So your phone will just believe it to be from wherever. So they could do it from the local Garda station. They can clone the HSE's number. They can do whichever number they want to demonstrate to you. They can. That's the problem. So, right, Tracy, listen, and I've been caught out with this, with similar things. I had so many payments, direct debits that were charged to the card and not actually a direct debit. I had a couple of things almost cut off over the back of it, so double check all of that too, Tracy. I don't know if that's how you do things.
Yeah.
All right.
I know. I will definitely double check everything.
I think the advice is don't trust anyone. I don't know what is that the advice. Do you know what I mean? It's so complex. All right, Tracy. Listen, thanks for that.
Because I have no Wi-Fi in the house.
All right.
I have no Wi-Fi in the house, so I was literally depending on my phone. So that's why whenever I got the 2 messages within a week, I thought there must be something.
Yeah. And listen, they know how to. They know how to.
I'll never click a link again.
No. All right, Tracy. Listen, thanks for that. Good advice.
The 9 Till Noon Show with O'Hara's of Foxford. Our new Baker 51 authentic sourdough celebrates 72 years of baking. Now's the perfect time to try it for yourself.
Do you have niggling pain, tight or sore joints? back pain, or maybe you're just getting ready for the start of the GAA season, CS Injury Clinic Buncrana can help you. We are now offering 30% off any treatment until the 9th of February. Call or text us on 083 45 11890 or online through CS Injury Facebook and Instagram pages. CS Injury Clinic. Move freely, be healthy.
At B&Q, get 4 for 3 on flooring and 20% off wall and floor tiles. So from perfect porches to chic showers, transform your home for less. Shop in store or online. You can do it. Exclusions apply. Value of every fourth item per single transaction and descending price order deducted. Ends 31st of January. See DIY.ie.
Má tá sé ag dul Jackar ort de bhílí fuinne bhíoch, cuinne ort ag éisteacht. Níos tábhachtaí fós, cuinne ort ag labhairt. Mar ní dhéon fi de cheolatrí fuinneamh tú a dhénisca fád is go bhfuil tú ag labhairt leo. Mar a féidir leat de bhílí fuinne bhíoch caithí de cheolatrí rowanna íochta a tuairt. Labhair le do cheolatrí ná fáid tuile eolais ag cru.ie. An seo le solas a chahabh ar de chearta fuinneamh. Teachtareacht an Comisiún Rialáil Fóntais.
Keep out the cold, cold, cold! And ring Fleming for their full range of garage doors, agri doors, insulated doors, milking parlour doors. Fleming, 91 48 234.
Highland Radio weather updates brought to you by Grant. Building a new home? Choose Grant's A++ rated Airona air-to-water heat pump and Uflex underfloor heating. Visit grant.ie.
And you're very welcome back to the programme. Overnight, rain, drizzle and mist will linger across eastern fringes for a time on Monday. Elsewhere, it'll be dry with bright to sunny spells, cold, with highest temperatures of just 5 to 7 degrees and light to moderate northwesterly winds. Quite brisk, however, along the east coast. That's a very general north of Ireland weather forecast we've been sent there. Highland Radio, in conjunction with the HSE, are delighted to be part of the Dementia Understand Together campaign, working in partnership with the Alzheimer's Society of Ireland, Age Friendly Ireland, the Dementia Services Information and Development Centre, Age and Opportunity and Health Ireland.
When it comes to supporting people living with dementia, you might ask, is there something I can do? The answer is, actually, more than you think. 9 in 10 of us believe people living with dementia have the right to be active citizens in their communities. But sometimes they need support to stay connected and engaged. It starts with understanding that everyone with dementia has a different experience. So talk to them and their family. Ask them how they are and how you can help. Look around your community. Is it dementia inclusive? Is your local social or sports club welcoming people with dementia? Is your shop accessible and are spaces and amenities easy to use? It is often the small things that make the biggest difference. By being that one person who asks, what can I do? You are making that difference. For more information, visit understandtogether.ie or call the national helpline provided by the Alzheimer's Society of Ireland on free phone 1800 341 341. From the HSE.
Okie doke, and we'll have some more interesting and informative messaging throughout the course of this week. A caller says, interesting one on Mary T's query. If there's no white line on the road and wing mirrors are clipped, it's a 50-50 regardless of fault. Well, I think a lot of the time it's 50-50 regardless of fault. Roundabouts, for an example, I've been told it's 50-50 regardless of fault. Regarding the road talked about in your show, why are people taking this route? Because of poor traffic management and lack of infrastructure. It's not rocket science. Yeah, indeed, some people would agree. What a load of bull. This is Eurovision. What a load of bull. Whatever happened to proper songs and people reading them on a strange road? Oh, sorry. This is nothing to do with the Eurovision. It's not songs, it's signs. I'll start that again. This is about roads. What a load of bull. Whatever happened to proper signs and people reading them on a strange road? You read signs and drive accordingly. All right. This is on Eurovision. If you record a donkey eating a bag of crisps, you could get an entry for Eurovision. This year's song is a joke. Well, we tried the rapping turkey, so I know you might think that you're being extreme and ridiculous, but we quite literally sent a turkey over to the Eurovision. So sometimes reality is a stranger truth. Okay, let us take a break for the news and obituary notices. Stay right where you are. Back with loads more after 10.
The 9 Till Noon Show with O'Hara's of Foxford. Introducing our new Baker 51 authentic sourdough bread. A delicious new addition to the team.
The TUI Live Happy sale is here, with savings of up to €250 per booking. Free child places, even in the school summer holidays. Plus low booking deposits from €50 per person. With holidays to suit all budgets. Relax and get booking. TUI Live Happy. Offer T's and C's apply.
Are you worried about trees on your property? Northwest Forestry Services Ballybuffet are fully insured and have over 40 years experience in dangerous tree removal, tree felling, surgery and stump grinding. For peace of mind, call Northwest Forest Services Ballybuffet for a no obligation quotation on 91320033.
The way you eat a cream egg says everything about you. If you eat yours by cracking it open like an egg, that means you're a bit punchy. You don't whisper in the cinema. You've been known to cut your own fringe. And you never get jet lag. Search Cream Egg Test to find out who you really are. Cadbury Cream Egg. How do you eat yours?
Reduce your carbon footprint in 2024. Receive £500 when you upgrade your heating from oil to gas with a carbon reduction grant. Get cash back for being future forward. Learn more at crgni.co.uk. Terms and conditions apply.
On this week's Deal Debate, we look back at all the weekend's GA action. I'll be joined by former county star Michael Higgery and Ryan Ferry of the Donegal News. We'll discuss how Ulster teams performed at the weekend and of course analyse Donegal's league opener at home to Cork. Also on the show, Maureen O'Donnell to give us her take on Donegal versus Kildare on the LGFA Division 2 encounter. Plus wrapping up the show, hurling boss Mickey McCann on the return to league action next week. That's the Deal Debate this Monday just after 7am news and podcasted on HighlandRadio.com.
The DL Debate with Sister Sarah's Letterkenny, serving food you'll love in Sarah's kitchen.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, I'm Michaela Clark with the news at 10 o'clock. A Letterkenny business owner says thefts from businesses has become a major issue in the town. It's after two women entered Simpson's Letterkenny yesterday and filled a trolley before fleeing the store and making off in a red Skoda Jeep at around 4 p.m. Gardaí have confirmed that investigations are continuing. The shop's owner, Marie Carlin, says better enforcement is needed to apprehend those responsible for thefts from local businesses.
It's just getting worse and worse. Over the last few months, there's been a lot of incidents. And the guards are doing their best to get to the bottom of this, but these people are being taken to court and they're coming up with all sorts of problems, and prosecution just is not happening. They just seem to be getting away with it and just constantly reoffending.
Another crash has led to further calls for safety measures to be urgently installed on the Rann Road in Letterkenny. A car went off the road at the Rann-Listac junction over the weekend. There has been a noted increase in traffic on the route due to long delays experienced while works were being carried out on the 4-lane road, the main artery into Letterkenny. Donegal A&2 representative Mary T. Sweeney says a digital traffic count and a feasibility study needs to be carried out. She says the rise in larger vehicles on the road is also concerning.
It would be common sense to look at how much traffic is using this, to do a digital count of the traffic using this road as a shortcut into Letterkenny. And what's even more concerning is the number of big articulated lorries or full big buses that have started to come in this way. And I think really it might be their sat-nav is directing it because it is the shortest route into Letterkenny.
The DUP is having a crunch meeting later so that party leaders can brief senior members on UK government proposals aimed at ending the Stormont stalemate. It's almost exactly 2 years since the party walked out of the executive in protest at post-Brexit deal terms. The latest deadline to restore power sharing is the 8th of February, just a week and a half away. The Justice Minister is defending her record on immigration despite polling suggesting it's now the top concern among voters. A new Ipsos poll in the Irish Times puts it ahead of housing as a number one priority for the public. It finds sentiment focused on Ireland's inability to cope with the number of arrivals and the government's response. Minister Helen McEntee says she's committed to improving the asylum process.
I am doing everything that I can to make sure that our system functions in the best way possible. And I have to say, I think while people are concerned, the vast majority of people want us to continue to protect people who seek international protection and to make sure that we have legal routes for other people.
An Inishowen councillor is seeking an urgent meeting with tourism bodies to discuss the promotion of the peninsula. Councillor Johnny McGuinness says there's a fear among businesses that they will not survive the coming years if efforts are not made to increase tourist footfall in Inishowen. He says businesses have experienced a drastic downturn in visitors to the area, which is having a serious knock-on effect. Councillor McGuinness says there doesn't appear to be an equal promotion of Inishowen.
I'm just hopeful that the incoming season will be better than last year. From our own perspective, we noticed a noticeable downturn in footfall, and after speaking to a number of the tourism providers in the area and along the Inishowen coastline, everyone's of the same opinion that we're just not getting the footfall that we once enjoyed. So whatever we can do to help that change, whatever we can do to help the stakeholders that are there to promote the Inishowen Peninsula in a better light, then we're all ready to do that.
Further crime prevention patrols have been carried out along the Donegal border. Gardaí from the Buncrana district conducted the checkpoints in border areas yesterday. They say the patrols and checkpoints will continue in an effort to prevent and detect crime in rural areas. 1.3 million people will get a double lump sum welfare payment this week. Minister for Social Protection Heather Humphrey says it will be issued to pensioners, carers, people with disabilities, low-income families and single parents. It's on top of a €12 a week increase in social welfare payments. The sum will be paid on the same basis as the Christmas bonus. Around 51,200 people in Donegal will receive the payment. Weather now, overnight rain, drizzle and mist will linger for a time today. It will be cool with highest temperatures of 5 to 7 degrees. That's all from Highland Radio News for now. We'll be back with an update again at 11 o'clock. Until then, you can keep up to date with the latest local news on our website, highlandradio.com. Good morning. The obituary notices for this Monday morning, January the 29th. The death has occurred of Michael Melly, Cullion, Letchermack Ward and formerly from Fintown. Michael's remains will be reposing in McGlynn's funeral home this afternoon from 3 o'clock with rosary at 8 o'clock. Removal to his own home tomorrow in Letchermack Ward where family and neighbours are welcome. Funeral mass on Wednesday at 12 noon in St Bridget's Church, Letchermack Ward, with interment afterwards in Kilbridge Cemetery. House is private on the morning of the funeral. The death has taken place of Patrick McGarvey, Paddy, Barneslower, Termin. Patrick's remains are reposing at his late residence. Funeral from there tomorrow morning, going to St Columbus Church, Termin, for Requiem Mass at 11 o'clock, followed by interment in the adjoining cemetery. Rosary tonight at 9 o'clock. Family time from 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock and on the morning of the funeral. Family flowers only, please. The death has taken place of Teresa Harkin, née Gallagher, Falmore, Glenealy. Teresa's remains are reposing at her home where you're welcome to pay your respects. Teresa's funeral mass will take place tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock in St Mary's Church, Bogan Culdaff, followed by burial in the adjoining graveyard. Funeral mass can be viewed live on culdaffparish.com. Family flowers only, donations in lieu if desired to the Donegal Hospice, care of any family member. The death has taken place of Tony McGlinchey, formerly of Raheny, County Dublin and Donegal Town. Requiem Mass is ongoing in Highfield Healthcare Oratory, which will be followed by burial in St Columbus Cemetery, Mass Mount Fanad at 4 o'clock today. Family flowers only, donations if desired to the Alzheimer's Society of Ireland, care of Patrick Sweeney, Funeral Directors. The death has taken place of Neil Beathan Farn, 2 Oakfield Court, Buncrana. Neil Beathan will repose at McLaughlin's funeral home, Buncrana, today from 3 o'clock until 5 o'clock. Funeral from there tomorrow morning at 22:10, going to St Mary's Oratory, Buncrana, for 10 o'clock Requiem Mass with burial afterwards in Cockhill Cemetery. The death has taken place of Danny McAleer, 4 Brownhill Park at Glenmornan and formerly of Dunnamana. Funeral leaving Quigley's Funeral Home Strabane this evening at 5:15 to St Patrick's Church, Killeen, Dunnamana. Requiem Mass tomorrow morning at 11:30. Interment afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. The death has taken place of John McMonigal, 64 St Finian's Park, Moville. John's remains are reposing at his home, where you're welcome to pay your respects. Family time please until 11 o'clock. John's funeral mass will take place this afternoon at 12 noon in St Pius X Church, Moville, followed by burial in Ballybrack Cemetery. Funeral Mass can be viewed live on movilleparish.com. Family flowers only, or if desired, donations in lieu to the renal unit, Letterkenny University Hospital, care of any family member. The death has taken place in London of David Gerald Mackey, formerly Church Street, Ramelton. Remains will arrive at St Mary's Church, Ramelton this evening at 7 o'clock. Funeral service tomorrow at 12 noon. Burial afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. Funeral service can be viewed on churchservices.tv. Family flowers only, donations if desired to Irish Vasculitis Awareness, care of Patrick Sweeney Funeral Directors. And the death has taken place of Eileen Penrose, née Costello, late of Buncrana, County Donegal, formerly of Ballinahowan, County Galway. Reposing at her nephew Willie Penrose's home, Ballinchew, Ballynacargy, County Westmeath. Arriving to the Church of the Nativity, Ballynacargy, for Requiem Mass this morning at 11 o'clock, with burial afterwards in Sonna Cemetery. For family information and more details regarding wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
Let's join Steve live for the build-up. What's your prediction?
I've been watching this team for a very long time, Gary, and I can tell you now, the score will be 3-1, there'll be over 9 corners, and the French lad will score a header.
Very specific, Steve.
It's Bet Builder from LiveScore Bet, pal. You can combine markets from thousands of options to create your own bet. Or, if you can't make up your mind, choose from the pre-built quick bet options.
Which is exactly what you did, isn't it? Bet Builder from LiveScore Bet. Building a bet just got easier. Full account terms apply. Bet responsibly. 18+ gamblingcare.ie.
And now, IMRO's 2023 Best Local Original News Programme, The Voice of the Northwest, the 9 Til Noon Show, with Greg Hughes.
And you're very welcome back to the programme. Approaching 10 minutes past 10. Lots of interesting stuff to talk about over the next hour, the next 2 hours, in fact. So stay right where you are. But first, I want to get to some of your comments coming in so far this morning. And thank you so much for taking the time. It's greatly appreciated. We were speaking about that scam before the break. Mary says, Greg, my friend was scammed the exact same way with the exact instructions given, and they got scammed for €5,500. The scammers are also cloning Amazon's exact phone numbers and all transaction details. I got scammed on Amazon, but it was the cloned Amazon, and that's it. You see, they can replicate the numbers, they can replicate the websites, and as we heard from Tracy earlier on, you know, we're all very busy, aren't we? We're being pulled left and right, and they know exactly how to exploit that. Nick Stapleton from the BBC did a great piece on scammers not too long ago, well worth watching. Another, if anyone wants some eye-opening about these scammers, Scam Interceptors on BBC One on Monday night at 8:30 is a great watch. You'll be extra careful after that. Indeed, on TikTok there is a person that exposes scammers as well, which makes for quite interesting. He actually infiltrates the scammers, their webcams and phone lines and what have you. I discovered 6 months ago that Bank of Ireland used call centres in India. When I rang the call centre, the scammers would ring straight away. They have the same accents of the same area in India. The banks have given them the technology to do this. The guards will tell you not to interact with them, but I do. I tell them that I don't use any of the services that they mention. If you get aggressive and tell them that they're wrong, they leave you alone. And banks that sold their ATMs use Indian call centres. I request to be put through to an Irish call centre so I know that it's not a scam. The government needs to pay people in Ireland to man these call centres. Big opportunity missed yesterday to have a double header in Ballybofey, just like Tyrone ladies and men's team had in Oma. Would be a boost for ladies team to have some of the 5,000 supporters in Ballybofey than the 200 only 30 kilometres away in Letterkenny. Cooperation between both organisations will hopefully improve under Mary Coughlan's tenure. Indeed, mixed results, obviously. A great Donegal performance, or a good Donegal performance. We'll talk about that later. The ladies losing out. But why wouldn't it be a double header? We can ask that question question a little later on. Stay with us if you're interested in that. Another caller in that regard, regarding the Gaelic football yesterday, the ladies were playing in Letterkenny. Why did the GEA not have a double header so that they could attend both in McCool Park? Not many people were able to attend the ladies' game because they were in Ballybofey. It is kind of interesting because there's a big campaign going at the moment from Lidl. It's very effective. And Ladies GEA, we covered it on this programme as to the poor attendance at football matches, or that more people should go and support the ladies in their games. That's what we could do, but you don't want it set up whereby you have to choose either, do you? So I think that's shot themselves in the foot a little bit there. If it was not possible, and it wouldn't be practical for a lot of people to attend the ladies' game and then the men's game. I've just got a spam text through on my phone. Shall I open it for the crack to see what it says? This is actually really quite interesting because I am due a parcel at the moment. And I just got a scam message from 08743088961. And it reads, unsuccessful delivery attempt for parcel IRL 384 blah, blah, blah. Go to https:/post-DHL - and confirm your address to attempt your delivery again. I'd almost be tempted to do. I've clicked the link. Oh no, I've accidentally clicked the link just to see where the website goes. And my phone says it's not a good website. Don't go near it. Okay. I just wanted to click it to see if anything was obvious to save you doing it. But anyway, it is interesting. Waiting on a package today. And also eFlow. All of these go into my spam. I don't actually get them. They go into the spam folder. eFlow, you've been recorded using the motorway without paying the appropriate charge. Visit eFlow payment-fee-online for additional fine of $57.50 will be sent to your home. Another scam. On post, your parcel has been redirected. UPS is subject to customs. Panel-ups.com. These aren't website addresses at all. Netflix, your last payment was declined. Please confirm your information. Go to reactivate-account.net. Another scam. More from UPS. Revenue. Our records show that your tax refund of €247 can now be claimed. I didn't realise I get so many of these. This is only in the last couple of... Here's another one. Hi, Dad. My phone is broken. Can you send me a message on WhatsApp on this number? And it's a link. That's a dirty one, isn't it? Hi, Ma'am. Another one. I broke my phone. WhatsApp me on my new number, 0899680975. And on they go. Another one from government. The government trying to give me money, which is nice. But actually, just as we were speaking, I got that scam text in. And I am waiting on a parcel. Why did they send people out to play during the bad weather last week? How was it okay to play? Asks a listener. That was in the McKenna Cup final. Is that what you're talking about? In fairness and for balance, a comment on the alignment of HR salaries with RTE. In fairness and for balance, a comment on the alignment of HR salaries with RTE. I don't know what that actually means. My ignorance, pardon me. Obviously, I know nothing about music because I thought the song was pathetic. Well, you do know something about music. You have your own tastes and you didn't like it. And sometimes I think our taste on things, we try and sort of get everyone to think the exact same. But music is so subjective, and you could even go, music? That's not music. But that's also subjective too. Art is as well. So, I mean, if you didn't like it, that's your personal opinion. And if you were on the voting panel, it wouldn't have got through, but you weren't, and it did. So I respect your opinion, and it stands there with equal strength and power as anyone else's. Should send the turkey back to the Eurovision. Better than that song, says the listener. And on it goes. Mixed views, actually. But there is a mixture. I'm going to keep going with the comments after we take a break and go to our next guest. Stay right where you are.
The county's #1 talk show, the 9 Till Noon Show on Highland Radio.
It's time for Vision Ireland Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Monday, the 29th of January. You're playing on the green sheet. The reference number is S1. It's game number 5. The numbers are 46, 90, 1, 52, 68, 54, 9, 14, 55, and finally 57. Phone your claim to 9104833 before 8 tonight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your Vision Ireland Bingo information at highlandradio.com.
New this week in Home Store and More. All bathroom towels are all half price. But better hurry, because when all the half price bathroom towels are gone, they're gone. Also, all recycling kitchen bins and all artificial plants are still all half price. But when all the half price recycling kitchen bins and all the half price artificial plants are gone, they're definitely gone. Drop by your local Home Store and More. Visit us online at homestoreandmore.ie. New store now open in Frascati Centre, Blackrock. Home Store and More. A happy home.
Hi, Nathan Carter here, and I'm delighted to say I've just had 2 installations from Cherrymore Kitchens and Bedrooms, and I have to say their attention to detail is second to none. With their sleek design and craftsmanship, your dream kitchen is just a visit away. So why not head over to Cherrymore Kitchens and Bedrooms and let the magic begin.
Cherrymore Kitchens and Bedrooms, Donegal Town. More kitchens your way since 1996. Visit cherrymore.ie or call 9725 to book your free design appointment.
The 100% electric new Nissan Ariya is now on Irish roads, which means you'll discover the game-changing silhouette that sets it apart, as well as its luxurious interior inspired through Japanese design. Then you'll discover the smooth acceleration, quiet operation and advanced technology that makes every drive a pleasure. The new Nissan Ariya from €43,500. Test drive it today and discover outstanding. Nissan, innovation that excites. Dealer delivery and related charges apply.
The 9 Till Noon Show with O'Hara's of Foxford, introducing our new 18-hour fermented sourdough bread. A winner with the whole family.
Now, the DUP is set for a crunch meeting tonight as its party leader briefs senior members on British government proposals aimed at ending Stormont's power-sharing impasse. The DUP has been using a veto power to blockade Stormont's devolved institutions for 2 years now. This in protest at post-Brexit trading arrangements that have created trade barriers between Great Britain and Northern Ireland. And the party has been involved in protracted talks now with the British government aimed at securing concessions on the arrangements that would address its concerns around trade and sovereignty. Right, okay, Pat McCart joins us on the programme now. Good morning to you, Pat. Thank you so much for your time.
Good morning, Greg.
It's good to have you with us, as always. Right, I suppose the DUP have, I don't know if you could say they've been painted into a corner now, but it's coming close to a decision time for them. How do you assess what's going on?
Well, the Secretary of State, Chris Heaton-Harris, gave the deadline for February 8th for the restoration of devolution. So, without question, your term, they have painted themselves into a corner, but they have to make a decision somewhere before now. Between February 8th, Greg. So there's a meeting tonight of the Assembly, or the Executive, sorry, and there's 130 members of the Executive. And apparently, by all accounts, Sir Jeffrey Donaldson, the leader, is going to give a detailed update on what's going on. Now, there was a meeting about 10 days ago, Friday, where they thought there would be a big decision, and they sort of chickened out of making a decision then. But the bottom line is they have to make one soon. So I presume the only complication at tonight's, Greg, apparently the officer board is the only people can make the decision to accept, that famous expression, yay or nay, in regard to this. And apparently there's not a meeting of that tonight. Now, well, they could nod it through the whole assembly saying the executive saying we agree to it or not. But legally, as far as I know, only the officer board can accept this deal or not. So if they're not meeting tonight, it suggests first of all, it's going to be softening up the party to tell them what's happening. And then depending on the whatever way they read the room tonight, they will make a decision maybe tomorrow or
but Jeffrey Donaldson,
whether they return or not.
I beg your pardon. Jeffrey Donaldson, though, seems to be in an impossible position, because even if he does sort of try and impress for an acceptance of what's on the table, I read last night an Orange Lodge, which includes 2 former DUP politicians, tells Jeffrey the party must not return to Stormont until its 7 tests are fully met. Members unanimously expressed grave concerns about the likely deal with no voice of support. So that's, I suppose you could call the grassroots and people with influence. So if he goes against that kind of mood, that kind of opinion within his own party, well, that sort of really raises question marks about his leadership. And if he goes in the other direction, well, where does that leave the party, especially in the face of further strikes in the north and what have you? It's a very difficult little position, Pat.
Yeah, I think for such an experienced politician, Sir Geoffrey has left himself very little wriggle room. When you ask Greg for 7 tests to be met and say you won't return, well, basically you're sort of saying, right, unless I get my 7 tests, I've lost. And Greg, he has lost. The British government, I don't think, has moved in him. Now, they've made promises in regard to funding. They've made promises in regard to the Green Lane, that there will be some legislation introduced. And they've also been made promises that they won't diverge from the EU in regard to various trade standards and so on. But that's all promises. It's not legislation. It's not hard and fast. But I loved there was one, Jim Allister, Kate Hoey, Ben Habib, the sort of right-wing Tory MP, and Jamie Bryson issued a statement yesterday in which he said the perversion of a constitutional obscenity of a partitioning border in the Irish Sea was totally unacceptable, and the DUP should not return to the executive unless it was removed. I thought these people don't do irony if you consider the fact that they don't see anything wrong with partitioning the island of Ireland. But that's a sort of side issue. The bottom line, Greg, is that Sir Geoffrey's he's between a rock and a hard place no matter what way he goes, because without question, I remember, Greg, way back in the day when I was a young editor in the Derry Journal, old Republicans used to say to me that the whole idea of the Troubles was to make Northern Ireland ungovernable, to portray it as a failed entity. It seems now more than ironic that the people ensuring that Northern Ireland is a failed entity are the unionists. Like when there's no government, there's no executive. 150,000 people took to the streets, 12 days ago, and protest. The public service workers haven't got paid. They have the worst health waiting lists in all of Britain. And they have the least disposable income in all of Britain. So Northern Ireland is not exactly a success story right now.
No, and it's just interesting to see the language. You mentioned Jamie Bryson there. For all his faults and otherwise, he is an influential voice. He's calling this a surrender deal. But it seems really that the DUP are outliers in this. And, you know, what can they achieve by not going in any longer? Because for all the reasons that you've been outlining here, it's hard to see how it plays out if it's another no or another nay.
Well, if it's another nay, it's the DUPs that are very sticky wicket. But what I think might happen, Greg, we don't know the deal yet. There might be more sweeteners than we know. Jeffrey Donaldson has probably got, right, first of all, they've got $3.5 billion, and that will sort out some of the public pay sector. There are also promises on the Green Lane. Now, Chris Heaton Harris, they might pull out a few rabbits out of the hat in the next couple of days to sweeten the deal and all the rest. But the one thing that the unions can't do is stay out. A devolution, if there is going to be a return to direct rule, no matter what way they dress it up, there will have to be an advanced rule or an enhanced rule for Dublin, and that's a reality. And as well as that, there's more and more trade now going north and south. And there's no way, Greg, the one bottom line is there is no way that the British government are going to start renegotiating with the EU. That's a done deal. And basically what's on the table is now what's on the table.
Yeah, but I think you've mentioned, as you always do, a few interesting points in that, you know, when you set out the 7 red lines that can't be met, they will not be met. So then you could say, well, sweetening the deal, once you've said we can't accept unless we get our seven measures met. So even if the deal is sweetened, can you accept it? And really too, is this not really all about not wanting to play second fiddle to Sinn Fain?
Well, there are so many people that actually believe that's the big issue. Can you imagine, Greg, say tonight, hypothetically, it's accepted and it's not just through. And on Thursday, there's suddenly a new formation of an administration at Stormont, and out front and centre is Shinn Fain's Michelle O'Neill. The symbolicness of that is unbelievable. For the first time in the foundation of the Northern Ireland state, basically a nationalist or Republican is out front. The whole premise of the partition was to almost to have a unionist majority in perpetuity. And like for 50 years, we had a one-party state, and we all know the problems that caused. Now, for unionism, symbolically, Greg, that will make a hell of a difference, and it will certainly cause some major issues. And a lot of people think that one of the big issues for people like Bryson, Kate Hoey, Ben Habib, and various others, and Jim Allister, is they simply can't stomach a nationalist first minister. And there does seem to be an element of truth in that.
And as much as there's politics being played with Britain, politics being played within Northern Ireland and played north and south in Ireland, there is an awful lot of politics being played within unionism in Northern Ireland at the moment. Like, if there were another election, who would be standing for what? What would the DUP would be standing for? What alternative voices might be there? More hardline voices? I don't know. Like, it would make for, I mean, as I say, I think there's a bit of jockeying going on here as well within unionism, which is probably, I don't think I've revealed anything. I think that's pretty obvious.
Greg, I think it was John Hume said many years ago that every time unionism walked away from the table, they come back weaker. And if they walk away from the table this time, they will certainly come back weaker, because there's going to be another split and another split. The problem for unionism, there's no unity in unionism. You can go from the sort of loyalists, and then you can go into the DUP, you can go to Jim Allister, and then you can go to the UUP. Like people like, what do you call him, Doug Beattie, very much see the danger of what's happening right now. He is basically saying unionists are doing more damage to the union than nationalists have ever done. And they are, you can see Rishi Sunak, Greg, has basically bowed out. I think he came to Northern Ireland once. He has got his deal done, the Windsor Framework. The last thing he wants to do is open a Pandora's box on the Tory party and start a whole lot of infighting again. He's got a deal done with the EU. And I presume Sir Keir Starmer, if he is the next Prime Minister, is most certainly going to try and work even closer with the EU. He's already said that. Brexit has not been the sort of goal of the land of milk and honey that everybody was told. The 350 million a week for the National Health Service and all that sort of stuff. Brexit has proved a bit of a disaster. The British economy is basically flatlining. They haven't made the big deals with America or anywhere else, that the big trade deals that they said they were going to make. And it hasn't worked out at all. So their biggest market, 550 million people, is in the EU. It's in their interest to stay as closely aligned with the EU as possible. So I don't think they're going to worry too much about 900,000 unionists in Northern Ireland when they have 600 or 550 million people in Europe to do a trade deal with.
And the DUP are trying to sort of, as you say, where do they get support? Trying to tell the British people about sea borders and stuff, and we need to cut our ties with the EU. And as you say, the sentiment over there is the majority actually now think maybe Brexit wasn't a good idea. So your argument kind of is really falling on deaf ears. And if you're in London, you're hearing how much money's going in there, you're going, well, what else do you need? We know there's a bit of apathy in Britain to Northern Ireland and its politics now, post Troubles, which thank God were post Troubles. So and then you wonder what the audience is within Northern Ireland as well. So to put you to the pin of your collar, then, Pat, how do things play out, as far in your opinion?
Basically, I think on the officer board of the DUP, I think Sir Jeff has about a 75 majority. There's 12 members. I think 7 would vote for a deal to return. 5 probably won't. Some of the big beasts, Greg, in the DUP people, like I was watching Sir Geoffrey's speech last week in the House of Commons, and I was thinking to myself, why is Ian Paisley sitting behind him so directly? Was that either to sort of show support, or to make sure that everybody saw the expression on his face that he was not in favour of what's going on here? But Lord Dodds, Dodds is not in favour of it. Lord Morrow is not in favour of it. Ian Paisley, I'm not sure, but I think he's against it as well. But then you have people like Gavin Robinson and Michelle McIlveen. Edwin Poots, apparently the former First Minister, is in favour of it. Gregory Campbell has stayed very quiet, but the fact that he hasn't said anything against it, I presume he's one of the persuadables. So according to various sources, 7 of the 12 members of the officer board in favour of Sir Geoffrey going back into Stormont. If that's the case, then Stormont could be up. But the opposition,
but if
you've got your Kate Hoey's.
Yeah, but how do they bring the rest of the DUP?
Sorry, Greg.
How do they bring if it's so divided at the top table? How can and there'll be an awful lot of anger from the rank and file members. How can they stay in that position then? Because they say, right, this is what we suggest, but if it's not what you want. I mean, how could you stay in that position if you make a decision that seemingly so at odds with what these powerful voices and Orange Lodges and others think? It just means your position is somewhat untenable. You couldn't get it over the line with those people, or you couldn't work with them going forward. It would be very difficult, you'd imagine.
Yeah, but it's Greg, the alternative is what? It's the only show in town. If they turn this down, where do they go? And if, in other words, they become the sort of the Shinn Fain of the 1960s. They're basically they make Northern Ireland unworkable and ungovernable, and that's for unionism. That's a disaster. So a lot of people maybe in unionism mightn't like this deal, but it might be the least worst option for them. Greg, some goods coming over. Getting stamped or maybe have a custom inspection. Bottom line for unionism is that there can be no constitutional change until a majority so decides under the terms of Good Friday Agreement. It doesn't change the constitutional position. Okay, it might sort of weaken some sort of aspects of and lead sort of more trade for the Republic and maybe give the South more influence. But the bottom line is the only place in these isles where the EU and the UK meet is on the island of Ireland. And there was always going to have to be some sort of trade deal done on the island of Ireland. And the Windsor framework looks like that's the deal. And unionists are going to have to learn to accept that.
Okay, thank you very much indeed. I do appreciate your time as always. Have a wonderful day, Pat, and we'll see how things pan out. That is Pat McCart there. Good morning, Greg. On Saturday morning in the Buncrana area, there was a black helicopter flying very low over the top of houses. Can you find out why this was, please? Now, there are quite a number of helicopters fly around the place. Leisure craft. They're not anything dodgy or anything. So possibly it's probably just someone flying around the place. I don't know. Or there is sometimes a helicopter that is used instead of the 118 that I've heard described in such a manner. I don't know if anyone out there, and I'm sure there is someone out there, knows why a black helicopter was flying over homes low on Saturday morning. Please let us know and we can pass it on to that listener. The government and the media has to listen to the majority of the Irish people and put a cap on immigration immediately. A referendum is required on the new EU pact on asylum migration as demanded by the Lisbon Treaty. Well, maybe the election is the referendum you talk of. I know that's not what you want, but another caller says, I think going with the times that's in it, the Irish song for the Eurovision, has a good chance of getting through this year and finishing in the top 5. What will the begrudgers have to say then? I'm a big fan of Eurovision, but not particularly fond of the change of format. But hey, life has changed, and it is a theatrical, type of a thing now, isn't it? Hi, Greg. Wonder could you mention, having been to the Donegal Sports Awards last Friday night, I have to commend the organisers and the venue. Can imagine there is so much organising to put on such an event, which is so enjoyable and inclusive of all sports. It really was great to see so many athletes from all types of sport across the county. Well done to all nominees and winners on the night. I was contacted by a few people who are fans of bowls, with some concerns. I didn't get to fully read the messages yet, but no doubt hugely successful. Hi, Greg. We're over near St Johnstone. No broadband since Storm Isha. Can't help thinking it might have something to do with the tree lying on the fibre cable near Ballabafay on the Lifford-Letterkenny Road. The telegraph poles are bent in from the strain. Not sure who's responsible even. Well, hopefully you've got on to your company and they should be able to give you some more information. Let me see. The song to represent Ireland is absolutely awful. What is Ireland coming to? Would rather be last or not even get into the final with a decent song than have to cringe through this one. And last one on that for now. Doomsday Blue, it's Father Ted's My Lovely Horse all over again. Brilliant. Okay.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com.
The 9 Til Noon Show with O'Hara's of Foxford, introducing our new 18-hour fermented white bloomer, scoring the bronze at Blas na HÉireann.
Colm here from Sweeney's Home Value Builders Providers, Lettermack Award and Derrybeg. Are you starting a new build or planning a renovation anytime soon? Why not give us a call today for quotation for all your building needs? Whether it's steel or insulation, timber or slates, we have it all at Sweeney's Builders Providers, Lettermack Award and Derrybeg. Call 074 95 44 114. And now with delivery all across Donegal, at Sweeney's Builders Providers, we have it all.
Boots Best for Less. Here to help you save more on the products you love. Whether you're flirting with a new look, ooh, look at you, practicing a little self-care, or blushing over new beauty. We're with you for getting the best and nothing less. Shop the products you love at prices you love even more and get the best for less at Boots. Boots, with you for life. See boots.ie for details.
Make 5 dinners for under €25 with Dunnes Stores. Save in the aisle with everything you need for sausage pasta bake, chicken burrito bowl, Thai red curry veg soup, tasty pizza wrap, and fresh cod tray bake. All for just €24.73 when you save with a 5 of 25 grocery voucher. Download the app and get your voucher today. Dunnes Stores. Always better value. Terms and conditions apply. Voucher can be used on next in-store grocery shop of €25 or more.
Do you need a UK address? Save hundreds of euros on custom charges shopping online with Space Hub Dairy. We provide a full virtual address mailbox service for all your business and personal use. Save hundreds, possibly thousands, on custom charges with Space Hub Dairy. Call 048 71 87 8077 or online spacehubdairy.com for more details.
Sailor Bill returns to the Ballard Theatre on Saturday the 3rd of February, a night of music and crack with special guest Chelsea Evans. Tickets are €15, are available on the Ballard website at ballardartcentre.com or by calling to the Ballard Theatre front desk.
Okay, you're very welcome back to the 9 Till Noon show here on Highland Radio. We're joined on the programme now by Marion Simpson and Bríd Colquhoun. Ladies, good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Greg. Thank you for having us.
No, it's our pleasure. Marion, you're both part of the Swilly Seals swim group from Buncrana, and you've launched a fundraiser to have a defibrillator on the beach in Buncrana. Do you want to give us the background to this?
Well, Swilly Seals were set up in 2020, in September 2020. There was a few of us got together and we started swimming during the height of COVID. And then gradually the numbers got bigger and bigger. And the group has gone from strength to strength. There's approximately 60 odd members now in the group. Yeah.
It's impressive.
And we meet all the time. So we meet 4 times a week to swim, social, and of it and all. So that's where it all started. And we meet at Loddon Beach, a very busy beach, used by lots and lots of people. So we had a member, Sinead McLaughlin, a very valuable member. And she unfortunately had an incident on the beach, and we have decided as a group to raise funds for a defibrillator on the beach.
And Bríd, Sinead was incredibly well thought of, and I suppose it's fitting that this is being done in her memory.
Yeah, that's the memory of Sinead, because she was a treasured member of the group. She was very involved in the community. She was a lovely girl, and this will benefit everybody, which she would love. You know, and we feel it's very important to have it on the beach as well, because it saves lives, more or less, and it's essential for the community.
Yeah, it really is. we know all too well there's some excellent information that people put up in terms of the amount of times they're called out to do with instances and how the defib can make a difference. And it's for everyone. It's for members of your group. It's for holiday makers, other locals. Do you know what I mean? That so many people potentially could benefit from this breach.
Yeah, that's right. And the good thing about this, the whole community is chipping together and they're buying it. It's not the Swilly Seals. We're just getting it out there. Everybody else is buying this here. So it's great. It's great everybody coming together to do this in memory of Sinead.
And as part of this fundraiser, Marion, there is a coffee morning taking place in O'Flaherty's Bar. Tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, we started a few weeks ago with the tickets, selling tickets. And we, first of all, have places that are selling the tickets for loads of beautiful prizes at Bradley's Filling Station, Apple Green, Fringe, Buncrana and Inisham Gateway. And also Super Value had allowed us last Friday to sell tickets at their entrance to their shop. But the highlight and all of this coming together will be on Friday morning, starting around 10:15 until approximately 1:30 or 2 p.m. And
does everybody come along and support us?
This is, we're hoping for a good turnout. We have some excellent bakers in our group and in the community who are all supporting the cause on Friday.
Yeah.
And on Friday the 2nd of February.
And Breach, I think, you know, obviously, and my condolences as well in that you have lost a member of the group, but also a friend. And I think the generosity up until now, and hopefully carrying on through Friday, is a testimony to how well thought of Sinead was. And what she meant to people, that's why people are giving, I think, the response that they are up until now and will into the future.
Yeah, well, everybody's been so kind and so generous, and Sinead would have just loved this. She would have just loved this, wouldn't she?
Well, she would have been the first one to be doing something herself.
Yeah, she would have loved it.
You'll blast through the target, I hope.
Yeah, and as well as that, we want to mention if we have money left over, we're going to donate it to the RNLA and a new charity in Buncrana, the Buncrana First Responders.
Brilliant. Okay. And those first responders groups are genuinely amazing. Now, you can get all of the information on a Facebook page. And it's Defibrillator for Ludden Beach Facebook page. If people can't buy tickets or they're from outside the area but love the beach or want to support you guys and remember Sinead, there's a Revolut number there as well, so there's no excuse. But ultimately, really, why I was speaking to you as well is to get along to O'Flaherty's Bar, Main Street, on Friday the 2nd of February. Marion's pretty loose with the times. 10:15. It'll finish at 1:30, 2. I think just get there for 10. Get there for 10 and something will be happening. And it might finish at 1:30 or it might finish at 2, but there'll be loads of stuff and a cup of tea or coffee for you. Is that right, Marion?
Yeah, the door is completely open, and anytime at all anybody wants to come along, we will not be turning anyone away. And we would like also to thank O'Flaherty's Bar and their owners and staff who have been so accommodating to us so far.
And just again to remember Sinead McLaughlin Breach, who this is all about. I mean, we would love if she was with us still, of course. But as I said, it's a beautiful way to honour her memory. And again, my condolences on you losing a very valuable group member and a real friend as well, because it's sad that this is why we're doing this, but or used to doing it, but still, it's in her memory. And as you say, she'd love it.
Yeah, she would just love this. So
okay, listen, I'm sure it's going to be a huge success. Keep us updated. Any further help I can give or whatever, let us know, and we'll be more than happy to do that. And get along to O'Flaherty's Bar, Main Street, Friday the 2nd of February, believe it or not, from 10:15 onwards, and there'll be loads of great stuff there. Won't there? Tea, coffees, bakes, I'm sure, and all that kind of
beautiful
stuff.
And
all right.
loads of prizes.
Loads of prizes on the day. Well done to you all.
Prizes.
Thank you so very much indeed. Take care. Bye-bye. That's Marion Simpson and Breach Colquhoun, part of the Swilly Seals swimming group from Buncrana.
The 9 Till Noon Show with O'Hara's of Foxford. It took us 72 years to perfect our deliciously authentic Baker 51 sourdough bread. One bite and you'll agree true taste takes time.
If you need a new laptop, enjoy super fast performance and seamless multitasking with the Vita laptops at Ben Sweeney Euronics. The Vita laptops are equipped with advanced processors and ample RAM, so they handle everything from work to entertainment with ease. They come with a 2-year warranty and prices starting at only €449. For more details, pop in and see us at Ben Sweeney Euronics, Port Road, Letterkenny, or in the shopping centre, Dunlow.
Kelly's award-winning diner is open at Mountain Top, Letterkenny right through the week with extended opening hours every weekend. Try the renowned Great Value Breakfast or the tastiest burgers in town, or a great selection of healthy options from a menu that's packed with all the most popular dishes. First Communion and Confirmation catering also now available. Kelly's Diner, Mountain Top, Letterkenny, for great food and great service every time.
Cervical Check provides free cervical screening for women aged 25 to 65. HPV cervical screening is one of the best ways to reduce your risk of developing cervical cancer in the future. If you're due your cervical screening, don't delay. Make an appointment today. For information and to check you're on the register, visit hsc.ie/cervical check or free phone 1-800 45 45 55. From the HSE.
Mary here from the cosmetic department at McGee's Pharmacy to let you know that Clarence have a great skincare gift available this week. Buy 2 Clarence products, one to be skincare, and you'll get a choice of 4 treat size essentials from a selection of 8. Which 4 will you choose? This great Clarence offer is available until Saturday the 10th of February or while stocks last in store and online at mcgees.ie. And remember, for any skincare advice, you can always talk to Gemma or myself here at McGee's Chemist on Main Street, Letterkenny, where the best costs less.
Highland Radio weather updates brought to you by Grant. Building a new home? Choose Grant's A++ rated Airona air-to-water heat pump and Uflex underfloor heating. Visit grant.ie.
Mainly dry today with hazy sunny spells, highest temperatures of 5 to 7 degrees and light to moderate northerly winds. Now, new rules introduced by the European Parliament will be instrumental, we're told, in revealing the true extent of the silent industry of human trafficking in Ireland. Maria Walsh, MEP, was amongst a group of MEPs that wrote the revision to the EU's anti-trafficking directive aimed at strengthening protections for victims of trafficking. And Maria Walsh joins us on the programme now. Maria, thank you so much for your time, as always.
Thank you. Good morning to you all.
What is human trafficking sort of in an Irish context?
Yeah, so for those listening, human trafficking is the trade of humans, be it for forced labour, for sexual slavery, sexual exploitation. We've also seen increases of the use of trafficking children through drug cartels and also labour and sexual exploitation. And there's a physical and, of course, an online way of how it's controlled and, dare I say, coercive control in bringing people, innocent people, into the trafficking industry. So we've seen reports of significant amount of women and young girls being trafficked online. The selling of a story from a trafficker about a future relationship, opportunity, both inside the EU and outside the EU, a better life, and then that force of coercive control. And then, unfortunately, we've also seen high numbers of again, disproportionately affecting women and young girls, taken from streets and just moved very quickly.
Yeah, and I think the reason I wanted you to clarify that, Maria, because I think a lot of us might think it's about moving people in lorries or what have you, and I'm not saying that's not the case, but it's just, I think, the imagery or the notion that people associate with human trafficking. And we're not talking, and if we were, it would still be bad. We're not talking about 1 or 2 people a year, or 5 or 10, or a problem we actually don't really know the extent of. We do have really quite firm estimates as to the amount of people trafficked in and out of Ireland on an annual basis.
Yeah, so this revision on human trafficking, so the initial report, or the initial body of legislation happened about 12 years ago. And the reason the revision has happened, and some listening might say, well, do we need a revision this quickly? Or some say, why didn't we have this a lot sooner? I would be in the latter category, considering the amount of people being trafficked that we know of. So right now, from working with experts within the anti-slavery and trafficking organizations, a gentleman called Kevin Hyland, who worked very closely for 30 years in the United Kingdom as a police officer, very much focusing on ending and eradicating the anti-trafficking and the trafficking movement. He led his expertise also in Ireland. But with speaking with him, over the course of this rewrite of legislation, he estimates about 3,000 to 4,000 people have been trafficked in and out of Ireland on a yearly basis. When you look at the EU overall, about 18 member states out of the 27 have seen dramatic increases of people being trafficked. However, what this revision is calling for is more data and more reporting, so we actually know the full extent.
What do we do about the people, though? Because, listen, this is completely anecdotal, but I have read court cases of women that have been brought before the courts, and they've been accused of being sex workers, or they've admitted that, and they've been told, you can avoid this, but you have to return home in a certain amount of time, and that's that. And I just wonder, like, if they are victims, and probably are, what supports are being given to them? What level of understanding? What is happening to ensure that there isn't some person sitting outside in a van waiting for them to walk out of the courts? Do you know what I mean? That, like,
absolutely. And I'm so glad you brought this up, because this was something that was quite contentious in the Parliament, and something as co-writers, or as we say, shadow rapporteurs and rapporteurs, were really keen on making sure we were distinguishing those that are the traffickers and those that are being trafficked. And ultimately, if you are an EU citizen, and I have to stress to those listening, a quarter of registered traffickers, a quarter of registered victims being trafficked in the EU are from the member states. So to back to your question previously, you assume they're coming from far enough lands, they're coming over in various forms, illegally, but that's not always the case in trafficking. So I just really wanted to distinguish that. When we look at those victims, what was happening and what was being reported by NGOs, and we heard from people who had come through and sadly been trafficked and are now on the other side trying to rebuild their life, they were excluded from various forms of supports in member states. So we really wanted to fix that. And when in this revision, it would mean that if you were from outside the EU, it wouldn't discontinue or make you push you out of the asylum or the international protection mechanism. So those supports in place, that you would still be able to apply and move through that. When you are an EU citizen, those move a little bit quickly, because you are obviously have born here or have resided here for a long period of time. And it's about getting the appropriate therapy support, working with the guards in our case, and the judicial system, and very much putting the victim and the survivor at the centre of everything.
And just finally, because we don't have a ton of time too, though, in terms of, like, in fairness to the Gardaí, we've had Gardaí on this programme appealing to people who may be trafficked and who are the victim of crime or whatever it might be, to come forward, and they'd be listened with, they'd be dealt with sympathetically. And I accept that that's the case, okay? But we have to make sure that the whole system is designed in that way, because we don't really know what's happening to these people, because I would imagine many of them don't come forward. They've already been the victim of trafficking, but what are the victims of when they're actually here? Now, I know I'm focusing on a certain group of traffickers.
And fear plays, but this is a really important conversation, because I think fear plays is a compelling argument. You're terrified to put your hand forward, because do you face prosecution for any crimes, perhaps prostitution that you were a part of? Do you have family members in other member states or other countries that you're being told are also in play here and could face real serious injury and harm? Do you have enough financial supports to actually move through this? So there's a lot of implications. And to your point, I really compel anybody who believes or thinks of or themselves are being trafficked, please reach out. We have an anti-trafficking unit within the Guards. Please use them and make sure that they're able to do their job. And ultimately, this revision is about reporting, collecting data, educating and training judicial systems, law enforcement, people who are working in hotels that might see a high rate of those being trafficked. So it's all around being and showing up better for each other so that we can eradicate the $150 billion industry that we have worldwide.
Well, that's what I was going to say. And in terms of the human trafficking and those that are trafficked here, you know, and forced to be sex workers or whatever it might be, there are also customers as well. And I think people should be conscious of whether or not they are supporting the exploitation of people on this level. And just in 30 seconds, if you can, where will Ireland get this information, the data, to pass on to the European Commission, if you know what I mean? So that's one thing I don't fully get on.
Absolutely. So NGOs and how they work on the ground. So I got to give a shout out to MECPATs, who do a lot within the child trafficking space, or RUMAS, who does a lot within prostitution and sexual exploitation space here in Ireland. You have obviously members of the Guards, our frontline services in terms of those who work in hospitals, hospitality. I know MECPATs is doing a lot of training with semi-state bodies like TUSLA also, so that we can be aware of it and people are trained. And that feeds into on an annual basis. So ultimately, we know then different revisions. There is a piece of work to do online. And I say that as an Irish MEP in a country where we have a number of large tech companies. So we have a lot of work to do at national level and across the EU to make sure anybody who's involved in the trafficking online space in that course of control gets shut down a lot faster.
OK, MEP Maria Walsh, thank you very much for your time. We'll be back with the news just a minute or two past 11.
The 9 Till Noon Show with O'Hara's of Foxford. It takes 18 hours to perfect our new 18-hour fermented sourdough bread. One bite and you'll agree true taste takes time.
On the wings of a snow.
Hot Country TV Sky 588 in association with Highland Radio present in concert a tribute to country music legend Charlie Pride by his brother Stephen and six-piece band with guests at the Mount Errigal Hotel, Letterkenny, Wednesday 27th of March 2024. Hear over 40 of Charlie Pride's hits. This is a concert not to be missed. Tickets €25. Available from hotel reception now.
Is that the new Opel?
Yes, of course.
Does it really look that good?
Yes, of course.
Is it fun to drive?
Yes, of course.
Is it packed with smart tech?
Yes, of course.
Can I test drive it right now at Manor Motors Opel?
Yes, of course.
The new Opel Corsa, now available. Hybrid and electric coming soon. See manormotors.ie for details.
Enhance your skills with SafeTech's part-funded training programs. At SafeTech, we provide courses including first aid, roadworks, people moving and handling, confined spaces, electrofusion and machinery training for Ireland and UK sites. Also online programs such as water hygiene, construction supervisors, safety reps and much more. If you have a group for training, SafeTech will go to you. Contact SafeTech today at safetech.ie and take the first step towards upskilling and safety compliance. A new year, a new floor. At Floorit, we offer quality solid, semi-solid and laminate click vinyl wood flooring together with a vast choice of parquet herringbone flooring, all fitted and tailored to your needs. Call in today and see for yourself the fantastic offers available this January. Call Floorit today on 087 161 7008 or visit floorit.ie. Bingo every Monday night at Halfway House, Burnfoot. Doors open 7:30 with eyes down at 8:30. €2,500 must go. The snowball is now €2,300 on 45 numbers or less. If you're not in, you can't win. That's Halfway House Bingo tonight at 8:30.
We've one planet and it's ours to protect. From repairing to swapping to creating and recreating. Learn the changes you can make every Tuesday at 12:30 to live a little greener. Tune into Ours to Protect on Highland Radio with me, Donna Marie.
Hours to Protect is brought to you by Highland Radio, the IBI, and funded by Commissioner Mann with the television licence fee. Check out hourstoprotect.ie for more information.
With all the stories that matter across the Northwest, it's Greg Hughes on the 9 to Noon Show on Highland Radio.
Okay, coming up in the next hour, loads in fact, including Brendan Deeni. We'll get his views on what he thought of Donegal v Cork in the league yesterday. That and so much more besides, of course. But at 11:11, let's go over to Michaela Clark now and get a news update.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. The DUP's executive is meeting this evening to be briefed on British government proposals aimed at ending the political deadlock in Northern Ireland. An email invitation says leader Jeffrey Donaldson will provide a detailed update on the current political situation. The Stormont Assembly collapsed almost 2 years ago when the DUP withdrew in protest over post-Brexit trade rules. A Letterkenny business owner says theft has become a major issue in the town. It's after two women entered Simpson's in Letterkenny yesterday and filled a trolley before fleeing the store and making off in a red Skoda Jeep at around 4 p.m. Gardaí have confirmed that investigations are continuing. Another crash has led to further calls for safety measures to be urgently installed on the Rann Road in Letterkenny. In recent days, a car went off the road at the Rann-Listac junction. There has been a noted increase in traffic on the route due to long traffic delays being experienced while works were being carried out on the 4-lane road, the main artery into Letterkenny. And Inishowen Council is seeking a meeting with tourism bodies to discuss the promotion of the peninsula. Councillor Johnny McGuinness says there is a fear among businesses that they will not survive the coming years if efforts are not made to increase tourist footfall in the area. Further crime prevention patrols have been carried out along the Donegal border. Gardaí from the Buncrana district conducted the checkpoints in border areas yesterday. They say the patrols and checkpoints will continue in an effort to prevent and detect crime in rural areas. Donegal County Council is being urged to do more to support households who are disposing of rubbish responsibly. Councillor Patrick McGuyan says he is concerned about the ongoing illegal dumping taking place across the county, which Donegal County Council has acknowledged. And 50 lambs have been stolen from land in County Derry. The Texel and Suffolk breed Yo lambs, which have orange markings, are reported to have been taken from a field on Teanock Road in Claudy sometime between 7 p.m. on Thursday last and 7 a.m. on Friday morning. Those are the latest headlines. We'll be back with an update again at 12 noon.
Interesting story there about people disposing of the rubbish responsibly. Of course, Michaela, we shouldn't dump rubbish. It should be put into your blue bin or whatever. But do people really know what happens to their rubbish when it's put into the recycle bin?
I know. And do you know the way they say that you can contaminate like your blue bin rubbish?
Yeah, but most of that rubbish is taken straight to an incinerator and burnt. Or it's exported. And then what happens to it?
There was a case, one of the councils in the north actually, that I can't remember now actually where it was.
Facts don't matter, carry on.
They weren't disposing of the rubbish. Like they were just dumping it all in one.
No, we burn it. Like it's burnt. And,
so that's not really
it's
environmental friendly.
Or it's buried. Do you know what I mean? But we have this notion that we put in a certain
I did think it went to like a factory and all the cans were crushed.
It is, yeah, that's exactly what we all think.
That's the
but it's
ideal
not.
word.
But I must get more information on that because it doesn't really work like that. But be that as it may, responsible is not dumping it in our beautiful landscape, of course. So I don't want to take away from that important point. All right, Michaela, chat to you in a bit.
Changing habits around how we use electricity at home is more important than ever. And if the first change is a switch to a Flowgas smart meter tariff, you're off to a great start. With smart energy decisions, like avoiding peak usage hours between 5 and 7 p.m, the savings can make it really worthwhile. I'm Aideen Garahy, and I'm changing my habits. See how I get on and discover more useful tips at flowgas.ie. Flowgas. Energy for everyone. Terms and conditions apply.
Now, a texter says, Highland Radio apparently chose not to report on the new EU asylum migration deal and the fact that Ireland and Denmark has an opt-out of EU immigration policies under the Lisbon Treaty and the fact that a referendum is required in both countries. The objective seems to be kept from the Donegal public or to keep it in the dark. Well, if anyone wants to come on and talk about that, that's fine. I did reference it and I've talked about it a couple of times because I noted that Leo Varadkar, when he was over in Davos, He said that Ireland is likely to opt out of it effectively, so we can pay a financial contribution instead of accepting more migrants, this under the new European Union pact on migration. And he said that, and he pointed out, and I'm not here to speak on his behalf, but he's on the record as saying it, so it's important to put it on the record because people think we're not talking about it. He said that Ireland has an option to provide financial resources and as an alternative to accepting more migrants under the pact. Now, maybe you're talking about exiting the pact altogether, but the government is certainly exploring the fact and says it's more likely to actually pay a fine and not accept migrants rather than... Now, maybe you're saying there should be an referendum so that we don't actually pay those fines at all. I don't know. But the pact... some of the key points, it introduces a uniform screening process for the identification of non-EU nationals upon their arrival in a member state, developing a common database to detect unauthorised movements, making asylum return and border procedures more efficient, establishing an asylum migration management regulation that will see some member states have the option to pay a monetary contribution rather than accepting migrants. That's the part of it that we're likely to employ. And to prepare the EU for a situation of migration crisis, including the instrumentalisation of migrants, which means to organise. Okay, so that is it. We've talked about it on a number of occasions, maybe not in the detail perhaps that you wanted, but there it is. And the latest stance from government seems to be that they are likely to opt out. We shall see. 086 60 25,000 if you want to talk about that or anything. By the way, nothing is vetoed in that regard, by the way. Right, okay, we got this correspondence from a listener who doesn't want to speak, but we want to offer some advice or help. And I'll read it as it was sent to us. Dear Greg, did anyone have issues with employment and the effort in helping you get employment if you have mental health issues? Because I have terrible issues with my mental health, I feel like no one really cares. I just get thrown out on a scheme, but it's not helpful. I feel like I'm just being pushed from pillar to post for years. Something has to be done. People with mental disabilities have a right to work too. We eat just like everyone else. We've a right to a chance instead of being thrown to all of these services and getting no help. According to all employers, we don't have the experience in their field, but it's not our fault. We are willing to work as hard as anybody else, but employment is not willing to help us. It comes across like I have never worked in my life, but I have had paid work that I had worked in for years. Employers are not willing to give you a chance. We're stuck with doing work experience, hoping or thinking we'll get a job at the end of the month or year, which is not always the case, and that's a year wasted. I don't have anywhere else to turn. Please help me. I'm willing to work the same jobs as anyone else. I think employers should see past the mental illness in an interview and should see she or he can get work done and takes directions and is punctual. Employers should be more willing to take on people like us because we feel like we're not wanted. This needs to change. We have bills to pay too. Professor Brendan Kelly is a professor of psychiatry of Trinity College Dublin, and he joins us on the programme now. Good morning, Professor. Thank you so much for your time.
Good morning, Greg. How are you?
I am okay. And I think we accept, don't we, that it can be a struggle for people with mental health issues to gain employment?
Yes, it can be difficult. And the dilemma that your listener outlines is a common one, as I imagine they might know, having spoken to other people who've met with similar difficulties. We know worldwide this is an issue, and there's a couple of things. I suppose the first and biggest thing is this idea of stigma being wrongly associated with mental health issues, mental illness and treatment. And this is very common among employers. Sometimes this is not conscious on their part. It can be unconscious on their part, but it still has the same effect, which is to lock certain people out of paid employment.
From an employer's perspective, are they saying to themselves, I've got two candidates here, and I've got one with no mental health issues, and I've got one with mental health issues, or poor mental health, or however this person describes it as mental health issues themselves. Are they always going to go with the person that doesn't present or admit with mental health issues? And if so, what can we do about that?
So not all employers take that attitude, and some of them are very fair. However, it can be difficult to figure out and very difficult to work out, why certain decisions are being made. There is equality legislation, and once a person is in the workplace, it can be easier to identify discrimination or problems. But when it comes to selecting people for employment, sometimes, the category of general suitability and similar phrases are used. But some employers do take a really positive approach to this, but it sounds like your listener hasn't encountered any of those. There are a couple of things that we can do to help. There is a program called Individual Placement and Support, IPS, Individual Placement and Support. And across many community mental health teams in Ireland, there are specific staff members who are trained to provide guidance and support to people with mental health issues who are applying for employment, and they can carry that into the workplace. So sometimes with the person's agreement, this IPS or Individual Placement and Support Officer can help support the person in the workplace and hopefully alleviate some of that concern that certain employers might have regarding employing somebody who has a history of mental health issues. One of the enormous difficulties, though, Greg, is this can force people to, not to confide, or force people, to feel, to feel ashamed, or to feel like they shouldn't speak out, and so forth. And that is problematic. But in terms of the mental health services, community mental health teams, most of them now have access to what's called IPS, an IPS worker, and they can be, and if your listener punches Individual Placement and Support Donegal into if they're in Donegal indeed into a search engine, they will come up with the relevant resource that will provide some support in the search for employment.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously we're talking about difficulties in the workplace with mental health issues. It's not just that. This is we have talked as well, even just last week, someone with endometriosis, for instance, having to take up too much time work and losing their jobs. Also in terms of, women going through the menopause, for an example. So it's not exclusive to people with mental health issues. Often employers will seemingly take the path of least resistance on either mental health or physical issues.
Yes, and of course, employers, feel an enormous responsibility for their business, for their other employees, and to do everything to ensure their business functions smoothly and well. However, there is legislation, there is equality legislation, and we know that depression, anxiety, and stress come under the definition of disability in that legislation. Now, they might not feel like disability in the way many people understand the term, but legally they are included. And in the event of identifiable discrimination, that is a violation of the equality legislation in the area of employment law. But I guess most people are looking for solutions rather than legal battles. So I think the first thing for your listener, it is helpful and important to be honest about these matters, insofar as that is possible and judicious when getting employment. It's not necessarily necessary to tell everybody everything. We do have a right to privacy as well. However, if one does have additional needs, it is helpful to be aware of that. There is this IPS support for people with mental health issues, and that can be helpful. But I do empathise deeply with the notion that they are continually put into training courses, internships, and unpaid positions. And that is something we need to look at a little bit more, I think, the extent to which that could be exploited rather than supportive.
But if I were this individual and I was listening to your very good advice, and it's about what schemes are there, I would go, well, how do I even, I want to work in at the till in retail. How do I apply for a job or include IPS in that to get where I need to be, if you know what I mean? So, do you have a better understanding of how... So, do IPS have a number of positions that they've worked with employers and they try and match the candidate with the job? Will they go with me and support me in an interview process or make an advanced approach to the business? Do you know what I mean? So, whilst there is something of a solution there, I wouldn't know where to start with how to put it into practice.
Well, a couple of things. The IPS workers are accessed via community mental health teams around the country. So to take an example, where I work, our IPS worker works with our team. Anyone who is referred to by a GP, for example, for a mental health issue, they can sit down with the IPS worker who will talk with them about what they've done, what they want to do, can even go through job advertisements, help make up a CV, if necessary, provide support for the person when they're headed off for an interview. Whether or not they attend an interview depends a great deal on, I suppose, the employer holding the interview and the employee. I haven't heard of one attending often, but I have heard of an IPS worker going on the bus with somebody, and sitting outside and being supportive in that way. So it depends a little bit on what the person wants or needs. And with the person's permission and the employer's cooperation, a level of support can be carried into the workplace as well. So it varies a lot, but certainly the IPS workers I've seen have been really helpful, really pragmatic, and very supportive in often it's very simple forms of support that can mean so very much, or they liaise with people's families about supporting them. But the primary access is through a community mental health team, one of the HSE community teams, and usually people are referred by GPs to those services.
Yeah, and I've no doubt the IPS do great work in that regard. Just in terms of, transparency, or however one might call it, I don't know why this individual might feel that they need to. Do you feel like, is it easy to determine when it's appropriate to perhaps tell a prospective employer of your of a mental disability or a mental illness, or when it's private? Either, there could be an overshare, not in this person's case, but do you know what I mean? Like, do people struggle? I wonder what should be said, when it should be said. That's a very interesting question, Greg, and obviously it'll vary from person to person. But the responsibility on the employer is to provide what's called reasonable accommodation, and this means taking the necessary measures to support someone in the workplace. They can only do that if they know what they're supposed to be doing. And one of the points employers make is if people don't tell them in some way about what they need, then they can't necessarily provide it. But you have to have real faith in the recruitment process to go on that journey with the employer. You do. Now, some people choose not necessarily to say this at the point of interview or point of recruitment, but maybe say it a little bit later on before taking up position. But other people judge that it is the right thing to do to be, very direct and open about this at the time of interview or time of recruitment. But one way or other, if some kind of what's called reasonable accommodation is needed, the employer does need to know. And my experience of them is often they like to know. And you do need to have faith in the recruitment process that won't impact on that if you confide at that stage. Yeah, and I think for our listener, if they do engage with the individual placement support in the first instance, I think there's even just working it through, talking it through will be beneficial, because you can relate to the comments that this person has made, and hopefully that can be a pathway for them achieving what they want to achieve. It must be incredibly frustrating to feel like you're being treated different, yet you have all the same wants and needs as everybody else, and you want to be earning and you want to be paying your bills, but you pass from pillar to post, as the listener said. So hopefully IPS might be able to, well, firstly, in the first instance, understand Brendan, but also maybe give some practical advice going forward. Well, absolutely. They certainly understand and can give the practical advice. And, the frustrating thing is not only having the same wants and needs, but also the same potential to give and to contribute and to participate and to support other people in workplaces as well. So realizing that can be more challenging. And it is so regrettable. That email echoes very strongly with what I see. But hopefully with some support, they can take some steps forward. Yeah, and finally, I suppose, this maybe is a symptom of wider society, and we say all the right things, don't we? But, do we have sort of this built-in bias, this built-in judgment of people maybe seeing mental health as a weakness or as a flaw that cannot be overcome? I'm not attributing that to anyone, but you just wonder, really, is this symptomatic of really we talk the talk, but are we walking the walk in terms of, accepting people's mental illnesses the same as we do with physical illness? And we still have a lot of work to do in that area, don't get me wrong, but I don't know, I think this is just maybe the face of what's bubbling underneath sometimes.
Yes, look, it's really good in recent years. We do talk the talk, and that is important that people can talk about these and similar things. But we still have huge blind spots, for people who have mental health problems that cannot be remedied through lifestyle measures and diet and mindfulness and all these good things. We still tend to deny the existence of these continued problems in many people that require ongoing support. So talking the talk is certainly good, but this is indeed symptomatic of something much broader and, in a sense, much deeper, which is struggling to accept this difference or variability between people. But look, I'm confident progress can be made. We've made some progress so far, although, as your email point highlights, more needs to be done.
Yeah, and just very finally, and picked up on something I've mentioned on this programme before when we talk about mental health, it's so often, and the advocates, and listen, fair play to them, I have no issue with them whatsoever, but it's often a story of a beginning, a middle and an end almost, whereas for the majority, I think, or many people with mental health, the story's not told like that. This person is living with their mental health issues all of the time. Do you know what I mean? And it's often presented that, and I'm not saying help isn't there, but it's often presented that, as I say, with those that advocate, it's, I was in this position, then I went through this, and now I'm here. But life, unfortunately, is not quite that simple all the time.
No, and sometimes I feel as a society we're in a state of denial about people who have enduring or continued mental health problems or mental health difficulties. And particularly, for what it's worth, in denial about how their families manage with this over the years. So many families doing such good work over a long period of time, and their needs are often not met in supporting a family member with enduring mental health difficulties. We can do an awful lot better with support and treatment than we're currently doing. But I am certainly the past few years been very encouraged by the support that's starting to build for employment, because, helping people to build and sustain lives in which they are connected, in which they are contributing, and in which they feel that community is really the way forward for people with enduring challenges.
Very good. And on that more positive outlook, we'll leave it there. Professor Brendan Kelly, hopefully we've been able to offer some helpful information to that listener. We really appreciate your time. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Professor Brendan Kelly, Professor of Psychiatry of Trinity College, Dublin. Another Brendan Deeni, is going to be joining us after this break. Stay right where you are.
The county's #1 talk show, the 9 Till Noon Show on Highland Radio.
The 9 Till Noon Show with O'Hara's of Foxford. We take 18 hours to craft our new 18-hour fermented sourdough bread. Now's the perfect time to enjoy a slice.
Brian Adams is back on tour in 2024. Join Highland Radio on our trip to Dublin to see the man himself at the 3 Arena on Tuesday, the 21st of May 2024. Your trip includes luxury transfers, bed and breakfast at the 4-star Carlton Hotel Blanchardstown, your standing ticket to the show, and a shopping trip to Dublin city centre the following day. Find out more on the outlet at highlandradio.com or call us on 074 91 25,000.
At SEAT, we created the Tarraco so people could enjoy an SUV with 7 seats. Then we made it so good looking that everyone kept saying, "Oh my, what is that? It's stunning." Then we got to wondering, what if we made it even better? So now you can get a limited edition 7-seater Tarraco SE Tech with stunning 18-inch alloys, intelligent park assist, electronic hands-free tailgate, and comfortable heated front seats and steering wheel. The Tarraco SE Tech, our best SUV, just got even better. Search SEAT Tarraco.
The life of a Charlie's Chip is never dull. Once they're selected, they're off to Charlie's, where they lose the jacket, have a nice wash, and once they get into shape and get ready, out they go to meet the public, side by side with a nice burger, some fish or chicken. Enjoy Charlie's Chips to sit in or take away daily from 12 to 8 at Pierce Road, Letterkenny. When the hunger hits, pull into Charlie's.
Do you need a UK address? Save hundreds of euros on custom charges shopping online with Space Hub Dairy. We provide a full virtual address mailbox service for all your business and personal use. Save hundreds, possibly thousands on custom charges with Space Hub Dairy. Call 048 71 87 8077 or online spacehubdairy.com for more details.
Highland Radio time checks with Expressway. Travel Route 32 from Letterkenny to Dublin when you book online and travel for less. Expressway, bringing you the time at...
It's 11:25. Great to have Brendan Deeni back in studio. Bren, how are you getting on?
Good man, Greg. Good, yeah.
Good stuff. Right, we'll start with the game yesterday. Donegal were good. It was a good game. Was it a good game? Sometimes I think games are good and then others say they're not good. I thought it was a good game of football. What did you think?
Yeah, I suppose, Greg, when you look at it maybe from the week previous with Derry, there was two real blocks of defence happening, and particularly first half was horribly cagey. Derry actually played not bad in the second half from their perspective. We didn't play at all, so it kind of there was a wee few question marks because people were saying the teams we played against in the McKenna Cup maybe weren't going that well and were very trialing players and that. So there was this Cork game outside the away game against Armagh. This Cork game, many people thought could be a good test for us, but even though we were depleted in pre-game, we lost our main scorer, Oisín Gallen, and Oisín was on commentary with me there, said, where the score's going to come from. So you're looking around, listen,
everywhere.
You had 12 different scores, and I was naming out people. I was kind of like, I may as well name the team, because even Mulready's going to come out and have a go as well, the goalkeeper, and that is what happened. I mean, that's modern football now. So listen, there's about 6 players kind of injured at the minute and close to coming back in that. So to do Cork the way we did,
what impressed you? What if there was one takeaway for the performance? What was?
Do you know what? There seemed to be a great attitude with the boys. The work rate was unbelievable. I mean, the tackling was superb, tackling in numbers, and then the work rate off the ball. I mean, at times up front there, I was watching Dara Boyle going over and back, and he actually had very little chance of getting to the ball because the man could go back to the keeper or he had options, but he was sprinting.
Taking scores seemed to be really quite effective.
The point taking was unreal. I mean, to hit 120 on a day like that, Greg, because at half time, the famous Brian McAnuff would always say, we're playing in the breeze. There's no like Donegal people to be able to play in the breeze. We're used to it, and we played far better against the breeze than we actually did with it. And we were reeling off scores. I think at one stage, towards the end of the first half, there was 5 or 6 points in a row. Just when you keep hitting there, Greg, you normally have a ratio of scores to points, but it must have been up in about the 80% there yesterday. So it was brilliant.
It could have been 1-6. This whole fly goalie situation.
Yeah.
I hate it, but I don't understand it. But I'll tell you, when you get caught out, and we did it last week, and we were the victims this week, it's horrible to see.
Yeah, and listen, here's what the league's about. Like the morning McKenna Cup. Now, of course, listen, you want to get promoted and that, and I think Donegal will get promoted, but you got to learn things. So there's a time to learn, like, why was Mulready in the position he's in at that point? To me, if a keeper comes out, and you see it a lot, we just talking about Derry there with Lynch, he doesn't tend to come out until there's he needs an overload against the blanket defence. I think there's maybe where you want your keeper to maybe join, but in the first
players behind you, or able to sprint.
In the first half, there was a ball came across to Mulready and he lost possession, and he was up the pitch, and we had 5 or 6 defenders behind him, and I was thinking to myself, there's probably no need then because the other team's backing off. You have spare men anyway. But I guess, listen, first game, I don't
know. It's not on Gavin. That's not it. But it is a factor of modern football, and you have to talk about it. But it's not talking about the individuals as such, because we are a local amateur sport, and I get that, right? But it is what people are talking about, or what is a factor. The advantage of it is that it's an extra person, right? But the disadvantage is you have to work really hard often for 3 points, and if it goes wrong, and it probably will go wrong once or twice a game, those 3 points, like if that were, now you might not do it late on in a game, or you might be pushing on in a game. If that happens later in the season when it's more important, then everyone's going to be talking about it. Do you get where I'm coming from? So,
and if you look at the start of that second half, we people are saying 6 points enough in that, because the halves don't work like that. They don't just fit like that. And of course, as I say, we played better in the breeze, but we hit the first 3 points. We go 9 up, and you think, right, we're in control here, and then bang, that's all undone by getting caught out. And I suppose with the breeze, that long kick pass, it just carried over McCall's fingertips. So it came down to inches, but it does look bad when the ball's put on the empty net. But Greg, listen, you won a match and you got to take learnings from that, and I suppose that's what Donegal.
Yeah, it could be interesting to see, or if managers see that as an acceptable gamble for what they see as the advantage. Because Jim McGuinness knows his stuff, and you don't have a goalie going forward like that unless they're saying, right, you've got a bit of freedom to do that, which is fine. And as I say, it's nothing against Gavin. It's just an interesting. It's an interesting element of the modern game.
Definitely.
Not about the individuals.
It's something, I suppose, with Gavin coming in. It was his first league game. You know, he had a great game last day against Derry as well. So it's important to have them options.
And there was a couple of interventions from him higher up the pitch, actually, which probably saved points if you wanted to really dig deep into it.
His catch early on as well, Greg, when there was a goal on, he took a bit of a hit. So certainly, I mean, Cork, I don't know, they were very poor second half. I don't want to take anything away from our boys, but Cork were very poor. I thought there'd be much more about them. I was chatting to Kevin Walsh after the match, you know, ex-Galway guys involved there with Cleary in it and the management. I was kind of thinking, like, what happened? Just, you know, Cork are always known as bad travellers, and maybe the distance affected them a bit, but they really fell out of the game. They were offering something in the first half. And I thought they would have came at us a bit in the second half. But listen, not taking anything away from our boys, we played well. You know?
And now another win, particularly given the opposition, leaves Donegal in a really good position, even just after a couple of games. And I also read somewhere else someone saying that this Donegal team would give most teams a good run for their money. We don't want to get carried away either, do we?
No, well, listen, Greg, that was one of the tougher games, I think, in the division in many ways. And you look at it, we've Cavan away now, you know, we've Fermanagh at home, Armagh away, Louth at home, Kildare away, and Meath at home. Really, I mean, Armagh only won by a point at the weekend against Louth. You know, there's no reason why Donegal going to every one of those games expecting to win them. And particularly the fact we have 4 home games. I would be very confident now that we should have it done even before we play Meath at home to go up. So the Ulster teams at the weekend, like, it was a phenomenal.
Everyone won except Fermanagh, didn't they?
And they drew, and even that was a good draw.
Meath. There was not 1-0.
They're up. Everybody's tapping them to get relegated. So that was a great performance by them, and everybody else won. So it just shows you the strength of the Ulster sides, you know.
Right, there'll be obviously plenty of reaction to that on tonight's show. Disappointment for the Donegal ladies, losing at 1-8 to 1-4 to Kildare.
Yeah, Kildare, I suppose, teaming up. They won the intermediate last year, Greg, you know. So listen, John McNulty is unearthing a new team there.
This is a young Donegal side too, isn't it?
Yeah,
so that has to be factored in. They have to learn on the job, some of them. Now, I'm not saying they're not experienced, but there is a bit of a learning at this level on the job for these women.
Exactly. And listen, after you've won a title like that, there's Kildare going to be a team on an upward curve, you know. So I suppose it's a bit of learning for Donegal. And Maureen O'Donnell was at the game. She's going to give us her take on it. So listen, it was one of those matches, Greg. I think, as you say, you have certain teams that are further down the line than others, and I think that was, again, it's a league game, it's a learning curve, and John's just on there. But listen, he's a top coach. He'll get things right.
He knows the story. Bit of controversy on the show this morning in that, and you know, Little, is it Little or Aldi? I think it's Little, saying, you know, go out, support the girls. You don't want them playing in an empty stadium and all that kind of stuff. But we also have to make decisions as fans, right? And you really had to pick whether to go and watch the Donegal women or to go and watch the Donegal fellas. That's crazy in this day and age, that especially with that campaign that's ongoing, it's almost embarrassing that you see a poor crowd at the Donegal women's game. Not poor, but not the what, because probably people says, well, I want to go and see Donegal's opener in the league. Either a double header or schedule them differently. You know, it's not putting loads of ads in the telly when you're putting people in a position that they have to make a choice.
Yeah, funny. I was down at Pettigo's dinner dance on Friday night.
Quiet enough night, I hear.
They know how to enjoy themselves. Let me tell you, what a night. The voice was kind of gone. You could still hear him back. I was panicking.
Like Barry White now, legendary soul singer.
God. I would love to blame it on some late night singing, but it was more just shouting and roaring. But
that's your singing.
What a night's crack. But Mary Calden was there, of course, our new chairman, and Sean Dunyan's there. Sean's got a few moves, by the way. We had a couple of dance-offs there in Terman Hall. What a place that is. I'd never been in this place before. But Michael Naughton was there. He's the ladies, obviously president, and doing a great job there. But he just talked about the amalgamation of the two, Greg. Of course, they were separate bodies for a long time, and until they come together properly, that's when you'll kind of iron all these things out. And they are integrating. But at the minute, things like that should never happen. Like, you know, as you said, we need to give as much opportunity as we can for everybody.
There's no point sort of blaming people for not supporting the game and then scheduling it where they have to avoid it. You know what I mean? I think people have to be fair.
Yes.
Right. So Ryan Ferry of the Donegal News, Michael Hegarty on all the weekend's footballing action, and a lot to unpack there. We've only scraped the surface there. You mentioned Maureen O'Donnell. Be interested to see her assessment of that team and where it's going. Matter of hurling's to be discussed as well.
Yeah, Mickey McCann's on. The legendary Mickey McCann. What a man in Donegal hurling. He's taking up the the job again another season, and Mickey's league campaign and Donegal's league campaign, Division 2B, starts away to Wicklow this weekend. And again, they have 5 games. Going to be a tough league because they've got 3 away and 2 at home, Greg. But Division 2B, very competitive. We have our neighbours, Derry and Tyrone in there, so some interesting games coming up.
So just back to the Donegal game, because I wasn't able to really focus on it, toddler pulling up my ears and all that kind of stuff. So Donegal were playing against the wind in the first half?
No, with it.
I was thinking, right, that makes sense, because...
and hey, they had some brilliant scores. I mean, you look at Oran Doherty there, just starting to kneel down a place with Donegal. He had 3 phenomenal points that first half. And outside the boot strikes. Yeah. Like when I used to play...
sometimes when that goes wrong, you go, just kick it with the laces.
But there was so many strikes with the left foot as well in that, and just shows you the skills of the game. And see, because of blanket defence now, you often have to hit the shot on the run. So the outside the boot is commanded a lot. Now you can get good distance in that. And I interviewed Kieran Thompson after the game because he had a monster kick as well. He does that strike as well.
Did you ever kick across the ball, Brendan?
I did a few times, maybe by accident.
That was for Finn Harps.
I'll tell you, get the shin pads on.
Okay. So if you want any sense out of Brendan, he was in Pettigo, and if you go to Pettigo, it's really Wednesday or Thursday before you start getting a bit of sense.
Jesus, I tell you what, fair play to them. What a great club. We had a phenomenal night. So I'll be keeping an eye out on their evolution, and
fantastic. Well, they booked you as a speaker and they couldn't get better. You're very entertaining in all that regards. Okay, Brendan, listen, thank you very much indeed. Brendan Deeni and the DL debate return after the 7 o'clock news this evening. Loads of food for thought there. Back after the break.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com.
The 9 Till Noon Show with O'Hara's of Foxford. Our new Baker 51 authentic sourdough celebrates 72 years of baking. Now's the perfect time to try it for yourself.
Don't miss the BAFTA award-winning comedian Michael McIntyre's brand new show, Magnificent, at the SSE Arena Belfast on Friday the 31st of May 2024. As always, Highland Radio make it easy for you as we look after all your needs. We will provide luxury transfers, overnight stay at the Clayton Hotel Belfast on a B&B basis, your ticket to the show, shopping time in Belfast City Centre. For more information, go to the outlet at highlandradio.com or give us a call on 074 91 25000. Michael McIntyre in Belfast.
If you need advice on what's best for coughs or colds, or what's best for sore throats or flu, just ask at your local Brennan's Pharmacy. If you need advice on the best vitamins and tonics to put a pep in your step, just ask at your local Brennan's Pharmacy. Whether it's about backaches, headaches or tummy aches, your Brennan's Pharmacy team can help. If you need advice from someone you trust, we're here for you at your local Brennan's Pharmacy, Buncrana, Clonmany and Creeslow.
Keep out the cold, cold, cold! And ring Fleming for their full range of garage doors, agri doors, insulated doors, milking parlour doors. Fleming, 91 48 234.
Do you currently have vacancies that need urgently filled? Have you tried various ways to find new staff but didn't succeed? Let Highland Radio help you source and fill your current vacancies in the most cost-effective way. Simply sign up to our new job spot and we will tell our listeners about your vacancies both on air and online. Every Monday, Wednesday and Friday during our primetime shows, we will broadcast the latest job opportunities across the Northwest and into counties Derry and Tyrone. All job listings will be available online at highlandradio.com. For more information, contact the advertising team on 07491 25322 or email advertising@highlandradio.com. Highland Radio, we're here for you.
Okay, Tom Coleman's a sleep expert and health scientist. Good morning, Tom.
Good morning.
You look like you got a good night's sleep, Tom.
Absolutely. I have to practice what I preach.
Indeed, very good. Now, you've accepted our invite to come on and we really appreciate it. And by the way, if you have any other questions about the quality of your sleep, please let us know. But this listener said, I've been having sleep paralysis on and off for a while. Normally the black shadow would be at the bottom of the bed, and while very scary, I can handle it. Haven't had it for years and thought it has passed. The other night, it was on top of me, choking me, and to say it's frightening me is an understatement. The pain in my chest, I really thought I was going to have a heart attack. Even the next morning, the pain was still there. My bedroom's always been my safe place. the me time place in the house, and now I'm looking around me and I'm jumping at everything. The thought of going to bed frightens the life out of me now. Can anyone explain why this type of sleep happens, and what can I do to stop or control it? I've been Googling it, and they say don't fight it, to try and waken yourself, as it can be very dangerous. Right, Tom, there's a couple of things going on here, some that you might recognise.
Yeah.
The visuals that they talk of, I'm not sure if that's their mind or brain manifesting it, or if it's common, but you're the expert, Tom. So is this something you've heard of before?
Yeah, and I suppose it's just to establish exactly what's happening. So, like, just to break down dreaming and hallucinations and things like that. So, generally, like, we should be dreaming in REM sleep. That's when it should be happening. And when that happens, we go into a state of self-induced paralysis, where the muscles just stop us from acting out our dreams, essentially, and that's a protective thing. And that's fine. But sometimes our dreams leak into other phases of sleep. So we have things like night terrors, which are exceptionally frightening, really vivid. But there is a difference between a night terror and a nightmare. So the night terrors tend to happen in the first half of the night. And we don't tend to wake with those. And we don't tend to remember them very much. But this sounds different to a night terror. So there is a condition, sleep-wake disorder, known as isolated sleep paralysis. And that's where a person is experiencing the paralysis, atonia, it's known as, and they're waking up. Now, the other thing to note is that time and space, we've no concept of time when these things happen. It feels like an incredibly long time. So if a person is experiencing the paralysis, the wakefulness, and vivid hallucinations, it sounds like it is what is known as recurrent isolated sleep paralysis. There are risk factors for it. And I suppose there's not a huge amount of evidence in terms of the clinical literature on it, because many people that experience this feel, I suppose they feel like, am I going mad here? What's happening? And they're very confused, and they don't like to maybe speak about it.
Or if they're inclined to believe in the supernatural, they might actually say, you know, they might be of the belief that something is happening in that regard, which might be another reason not to seek help.
That's right. I mean, people think, am I going mad here? What's happening? Because of how real they feel. And, you know, with this condition and with the night terrors, it really is as though there is another person in the room, or there is a person on top of you choking you. And, you know, it might be indicative of an underlying issue. And the thing about the choking, maybe with obstructive sleep apnea, we stop breathing and people get the sensation maybe of drowning or that. So, I mean, okay, so just looking at the risk factors for the isolated sleep paralysis, insomnia, insufficient sleep, if you're overtired, overstressed, certainly stress will play into it. Hypertension, so high blood pressure, narcolepsy, so maybe there's a sleep condition there already. Sleep apnea is a risk factor as well. Alcohol use, post-traumatic stress disorder. So these are the kind of risk factors, and certain personality types. So that's what the literature is telling us. These are the risk factors here. So what type of interventions then are recommended?
And before you get on to that, I think really, Tom, what you're highlighting here is that the person shouldn't be fearful, but just be alert that this could be indicative of something. So in other words, don't just put it down to a bad night's sleep. Do you know what I mean? To get it checked out and to make sure that that it doesn't have the consequences that potentially it could, Tom. So what is the next port of call? Is it GP? Is it what do you do next then if you say, right, there's enough here for me to sort of pursue this a little more?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing, like you said very correctly, is we want a clear diagnosis. Because without that, we're guessing and we're throwing things at the problem. The nature of the problem will inform the solution. So go to your GP, ask for a referral for a sleep study, speak to your GP about it, and take it from there. A sleep specialist then will be able to analyse through polysomnography, where you get wired up. And we can see then what's happening in the brain, the brainwave signature of REM sleep and what's happening.
And does that happen? Does that happen in a location or at home?
Yes.
Okay. So
in a location. So you would have to go to. There are lots of centres around that would do sleep studies with sleep scientists and clinicians in that sense. And that's you're into the medical arena of correct sleep diagnosis, then of sleep wake disorders. So clear diagnosis from there, and then that would sort of indicate the path forward, which could go in many directions. That, you know, from lifestyle to there are cognitive therapies that will help you deal with that. But the first thing to, like you said, is not to read into it too much, is not to worry about it, is not to, you know, I suppose, get very fearful. We don't want that. The bed is a safe haven for
and
us.
the brain is it's amazing for us, but it can work against us as well. And for some reason, it might be trying to make you not feel safe and content in your own room. Do you know what I mean? It could be anxiety or something as well. So you really have to make sure that you get the help that is required. I would say, Tom, and I'm not going to go through a load of snoring questions for you, but I mean, sleep experts, I would say they're sick and tired of people looking for one answer to snoring, as if it's not a whole realm of different things with many different causes and all that type of stuff. Outside of getting a sleep study done and some deep dive analysis, is there anything anyone can actually do with anything on the market to relieve snoring?
Well, it is kind of, I suppose, a hierarchical view. We try A. If A doesn't work, we have a B plan, we have a C plan. So, I mean, it starts with something as simple as your sleep position. You don't sleep in your back. We do the lifestyle stuff first, right? So don't sleep in your back, sleep in your side. Elevate your bed by 3 or 4 degrees at the head of bed. Avoid alcohol. Alcohol relaxes the tongue and the muscles in the neck, and they hang back there, and that causes the vibration of the tissue.
And that's why people will often sleep for 8 hours even after a few drinks and feel exhausted in the morning. It's not good sleep.
Well, yeah, I mean, the alcohol is disrupting their sleep. That's why they don't feel great after. They're not getting the quality, and alcohol suppresses REM sleep as well. So those are the first things: the alcohol, the smoking. Weight loss, we gather tissues and fat in the neck, and often even we can grow polyps in the back of the neck, and all of that can contribute to snoring. So that's the first port of call, really, is all that lifestyle stuff. You can actually do exercises to strengthen the muscles in the tongue. There are oral exercises that you can get online, and you can practice these, and that it will increase the integrity of the tissues. So that may help. If you have any sinus issues, any congestion issues, get those sorted out. That could be the cause. That could help as well. And then we're going into the deeper...
Well, I've been told I've got fat tonsils, Tom.
Yeah.
What's that?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely.
And my son's got fat tonsils.
That's all you have.
He's got fat tonsils as well. A listener says...
There is a syndrome. There is a syndrome, and this is the actual name of it. This is the medical name of it. Big tongue syndrome.
Of the big tongue syndrome. Okay, well, that's there's a lot of bed divorces out there, Tom, over the back of this, so we're going to have to sort something out. This listener says, and this is common actually, I think, because I've heard a couple of people say it to me. I'm in my early 70s. I wake 2 or 3 times a night, and then that's me. Can't get back to sleep. I was up this morning at 3:45. I didn't get back to sleep until 5 a.m. and then I was awake again at 7 a.m. So what does this type of sleep pattern, or why does it happen? And can I take anything or make any changes, preferably, presumably, to address that, Tom?
Okay. Yeah, okay. So here's why it's happening. When we're awake, we're building up what's called sleep pressure in the brain. That's building up, and that's one of the things that pushes you and holds you in sleep. And as you're sleeping, the sleep pressure is dropping. Your sleep cycles, so you sleep in cycles of 90 minutes. Your first couple of cycles, you're spending way more time in deep sleep. As the third and fourth, fifth cycle, it's much lighter, the sleep. So as the sleep pressure is dropping and your sleep cycles are getting lighter, there's more of a tendency to wake up. As you age, you have a lot more of a tendency to wake up also. Now, I'm not too concerned about the wake episodes. It's getting you back to sleep. Now, you can entrain yourself to do this, and it takes practice. But what do most people do? They get stressed out. They go, oh, I'm awake again. They check the time. They get blinded by the light of the phone, checking the time, and they're stressing. Now, I can tell you from working with people for years, the more you focus on sleep, the more elusive it becomes. So your goal here is relaxation, okay? So try and do some breathing exercises, some visualizations, something that gives your brain some chewing gum, and the sleep will come back. Now, you won't get the deep sleep that you crave in the second half of the night. You've already had it. So light sleep is very valuable. It's when the psychological repair is happening, the brain is cleaning itself. So don't undervalue light sleep. Focus on relaxation, and you can entrain yourself to go back to sleep.
Yeah, it's so true, because I found myself waking up at exactly the same time every night. And it happened for about a week, and I was getting caught up in it. And then I kind of thought about it a bit and took a bit of emphasis off it, and then it stopped. But it was like clockwork. What do you think about watches? Callers asking about monitoring your sleep in the watch. I have a watch, and it monitors my sleep, and it scores my sleep out of 10. And often it does feel kind of good. It aligns to it. Now, I don't think you would make any judgments on the back of it, but just as a novelty sort of piece of technology, it does seem somewhat some useful. But what's your view as a sleep expert?
It depends on the personality type. If you're a type A personality and you're waking up to check to see if you're hitting your sleep targets, you need to back away from it, right? Because we get those people. Right. In terms of the efficacy of the data, so that's what we kind of look at. The tech is pretty good at telling us if we're awake or asleep. Sometimes there's a lot more variance than when you go into the slow wave sleep or REM sleep, and in the analysis of that, depending on how light or heavy a sleeper you are. So I wouldn't read into that too much. In terms of, people stressing out about, I'm not getting enough deep sleep.
Yeah, I hear you.
Your brain regulates that. It will actually hold you in deeper sleep longer. And people always focus on the deep sleep, but the light sleep is just as important for the psychological repair. So the tech, don't worry too much about it.
Yeah, and just very finally, is it really quite telling how we feel during the day? Because we often talk about how much sleep we're getting at night. If you don't get tired during the day, presumably you're getting a good night's sleep. Or is that too big a jump?
No, it's a good indicator. Like, I've worked for 10 years in sleep, and I've met about 2 people who wake up feeling refreshed and ready for the day. It takes a little while to wake up, right? But my question is, how do you feel after an hour? How do you feel? Are you experiencing tiredness during the day, daytime sleepiness? That's an indicator you might need more sleep. Sleep requirement is very personal. Some people are fine on 6 hours a night. The recommendation is 5 cycles or 7.5 hours. Some people require more. So sleep is deeply personal. Look at all of the things that you're doing during the day in terms of your outside activity, physical activity, your stress levels. The same systems that control stress control sleep. So if we look after all of the daytime stuff, the sleep will take care of itself.
Okay, brilliant stuff. Listen, that's been really interesting, especially the information about your body going into a form of paralysis during REM to stop you acting out your dreams. I thought that was really interesting. I haven't heard that before. Always, but that's what particularly jumped out at me. Tom, thank you so much for your help. Tom Coleman, sleep expert and health scientist. Weather next.
The 9 Till Noon Show with O'Hara's of Foxford. Introducing our new Baker 51 authentic sourdough bread. A delicious new addition to the team.
Find a Volkswagen commercial vehicle that can keep up with you and your business, like our Caddy Cargo, Transporter 6.1, Crafter and the new Amarok. With HP finance from 2.9% and service plans from €12.99 per month. There's never been a better time to get a vehicle that works as hard as you do. Book your test drive now at your local Volkswagen commercial vehicles dealer or visit volkswagenvans.ie. Here's to the Volkswagen in you.
Terms and conditions apply. Finance provided by way of hire purchase agreement from Volkswagen Financial Services Ireland and subject to lending criteria. Volkswagen Financial Services Ireland Limited is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland. Visit volkswagenvans.ie for further information.
Contact Connolly's Volkswagen Commercials in Letterkenny today. See connellys.ie.
Imagine Broadband's January sale is here. Grab our Hero high-speed broadband package for just $49.99 per month. Act fast. Sign up before January 31st to enjoy a massive €180 in savings. Head to imagine.ie or free phone us on 1-800-938-407 to upgrade to faster broadband faster. Subject to location and availability. Minimum 18-month contract. Activation fees and annual price increase of CPI plus 3% applies. See imagine.ie for full terms and conditions.
So he was like messaging me all night and then he just ghosted me.
No way.
Yeah. He was like, "You're so hot, I want to come over."
Okay.
And I was like, "Cool." And he was like, "I'm on my way, driving over right now."
And then?
Nothing.
Phone use while driving can be deadly. Your phone, it won't kill you to put it away. From the Road Safety Authority, visit rsa.ie.
Return, refund, recycled. Ireland's deposit return scheme is coming. From the 1st of February 2024, when you buy a drink in a bottle or can with the return logo, you'll pay a small deposit. Once you're refreshed, return your empty, undamaged bottle or can to any shop or supermarket and get your deposit back. The result? Less litter, less waste, and better recycling for Ireland. For more, visit return.ie.
Highland Radio weather updates brought to you by Grant. Building a new home? Choose Grant's A++ rated Airona air-to-water heat pump and Uflex underfloor heating. Visit grant.ie.
Okay, so generally dry today with brighter sunny spells. Cool though, temperatures just 5 to 7 degrees and light to moderate northerly winds tonight. Dry, mostly clear, but with frost and icy patches. Cold, lowest temperatures of -2 plus 2 degrees in light northwesterly winds. Now, a caller says, and it came in just a little late, my apologies, but the reason I'm mentioning it now, because this is a good conversation that listeners can help with. I'm about to start 3 weeks of night shift. Any advice to get sleep in the morning? I've never done this before and I'm slightly concerned now. That the different shifts, night versus day, continental shifts they're called. A lot of people in the county are employed on these shifts where you work a number of nights, then you work a couple of days in the health service, in care homes. There's loads of different places out there. So maybe you could give us your advice on how you deal with your sleep. If you're working continental shifts or then night shifts and then day shifts. The best advice often is out there in listener land, so please let us know. Right, that is where we have to leave it on the show today. Thank you so much for a really busy start to the week. A lovely Monday with so many of you messaging in and texting in. It's greatly appreciated. We will be back with you tomorrow morning at 9, so have a fantastic